The only home celebration of the 2017 postseason was ALCS Game 7, and Lance McCullers Jr. would put an exclamation point on the final 4 innings. Shutout baseball, 24 consecutive curveballs to end the game. Lance would live up to his nickname of the Snapdragon that day, and the celebration was on as the Astros won the AL pennant en route to a World Series title. Today, Lance will make his 2018 debut in the spring as he will take on the Minnesota Twins led by Paul Molitor as we welcome you to the 15 ballpark of the Palm Beaches. Todd Callis alongside Jeff Blum. We'll hear from Julia Morales in just a little while. Blummer, you saw the team yesterday on the road. So far, so good, off to a 4-1 start.
It's been great. Yeah, I had a chance to call a game on radio with Steve Sparks, but in the middle of the game, I was almost reminiscing to 2017. Doesn't look like they've missed a beat here in spring.
And today we will get to see Lance for the first time, and he was really filling a lot of roles, especially out of the bullpen, saving that game in the postseason.
He was. He did a great job, and A.J. Hinch does a very good job of letting these guys know what they're about to go out there and do, and he needed Lance McCullers to finish off that Game 7 to back up Charlie Morton, but I'm not sure what the conversation was beforehand. Did they actually sit down and say, I want you to throw at least 25 breaking balls in this appearance? It kind of messed with the New York Yankee hitters. I'm sure they didn't believe it when they were seeing it happen, that many curveballs in a row, but we already know that that is his best pitch. 47.4% of the time he threw that pitch last season. And if you're going to go out there and pitch in some of those high leverage type situations, you want to go out there with your best pitch. It's the curveball for Lance McCullers, and I'm sure he's going to bring it again in 2018.
Most of the regulars will be in the lineup today for the Astros. One name missing will be Yuli Gurriel. We'll have more on Yuli when we return and hear from Julia Morales.
This is not just a $29.99.
Welcome back to another beautiful day in West Palm Beach, Fit Team Ballpark of the Palm Beaches. These Astros are ready to go. They've already taken the field. One Astro we won't see today or for a couple of days for that matter, Yuli Gurriel. It was announced today that he underwent successful surgery on his left hand to remove a hook of the hamate bone. It was a pre-existing fracture for Yuli and just happened to feel it here recently. Went ahead and took care of it. However, timetable for that particular surgery is usually around 6 weeks. 4 weeks left of spring training. He will miss the beginning of the season as well as serve the 5-game suspension. So opportunities maybe for some guys that are playing right here today. Jeff Luhnow did say about the injury that we have the guys internally to get it done, and they've been playing well. So they don't exactly need to look outside of the organization for any help. Not any more than they would have been looking for anyway. So A.J. Reed at first today. Tyler White, J.D. Davis, two other guys that they'll be getting more playing time than, but looking at a little bit closer. But so far so good for all of these guys who've had a little bit of major league time, but hoping for the opportunity to be on their first opening day roster for some of them. TK?
All right, Julia, it should be fun this afternoon because not only do we have a nice day for baseball, but we get the chance to see Lance McCullers Jr. for the first time, and the pitching's been pretty good so far.
It has been good. Lance McCullers last season made 22 starts. He was an all-star. Threw 91 of those 118 and 2/3 innings in the first half to earn the right to go to that all-star game. We talked in the open about how many curveballs he can go out there and throw. 47.4% of the time he will pitch with that breaking ball. Here in spring training, though, it's an opportunity to work on some stuff. We know the fastball location is going to be key for him to set up that breaking ball, but I also am going to be looking to see how many changeups he mixes in there, because that could be a great third pitch for him.
We will keep track of that. That will be a good storyline to follow during the course of the day as we watch the Minnesota Twins coming to town. They have a split squad today with part of their team back home taking on the Tampa Bay Rays, the other half here in West Palm Beach at the 15 ballpark of the Palm Beaches. Zach Granite, A-Ray Adrianza, the former Astro Robbie Grossman, Eduardo Escobar, Kenny Vargas, Nick Buss, Eric Ibar just acquired, Mitch Garver, and Ryan Lamar. We are underway in the first of our 4 consecutive telecasts on a Wednesday afternoon with Lance missing to Zach Granite for ball 1. Lance will see a lot of left-handed hitters in this Twins lineup. Most of them are switch hitters as Granite lines one to second base where Jose Altuve puts it away for the first out of this game.
Good spring out. 91-mile-an-hour fastball from Lance McCullers. Granite puts a good swing on it, just poorly located right at Altuve.
Altuve and Correa in the middle of your defense. The Astros going with A.J. Reed at first in place of Yuli Gurriel. You heard from Julia just a minute ago about Yuli's injury and successful surgery. Alex Bregman over at third. Lance misses to A-Ray Adrianza. They have 4 consecutive switch hitters in their lineup, do the Twins, beginning with Adrianza. And then Nick Buss, who hits 6, is a lefty, and then Eric Ibar, who hits 7th, is another switch hitter. So 2 lefties and 5 switch hitters in the first 7 spots of the order. Lance will not see a right-hander until he gets to the number 8 spot in their lineup.
There it was.
I was going to say, you were looking for that changeup to see how he would use it. He throws the first one in a 1-1 count. A little bit low.
Good location, though.
That's a good pitch on the inside corner.
He doubled up, and you're going to see a lot of guys in spring training, if they don't like or get the strike that they want, they will double up. It's okay to do it here in spring. Maybe in the regular season you might get hurt by throwing that back-to-back changeup, but I think it's a real opportunity for Lance to figure out the control of that pitch.
Strike 3 called. Lance comes back and throws 2 on the inside corner. That ball really had nice tailing action that started at the hitter Adrianza.
Yeah, it didn't quite have the velocity we're accustomed to from Lance McCullers, but it had good 2-seam run coming back over that inside corner.
So 2 quick outs for Lance in his 2018 debut, and now he'll face Robbie Grossman. Grossman swings at the first pitch and sends it to his former teammate Jose Altuve, and that will do it for the Twins. A 1-2-3 inning for McCullers Jr. Astros turn to bat in the bottom half.
I've seen them all.
Astros fans at the Fit-Team ballpark of the Palm Beaches enjoying this Wednesday afternoon contest between the Astros and the Twins. Here's your Astros starting lineup. George Springer leading things off, followed by Josh Reddick making his second start. Jose Altuve still looking for his first spring hit. That's third. Carlos Correa is the shortstop. Alex Bregman at third base. Brian McCann the DH. Tim Fedorovich behind the plate, and A.J. Reed at first base. They're facing the left-hander Steven Gonsalves, and Gonsalves delivers a pitch out of the zone to Springer, 1-0. George 2 for 5 on the young spring with a couple of doubles. And he takes a called strike. It's 1-1. Astros winning yesterday's game, taking on the Mets in Port St. Lucie. They've improved to 5-1 on the spring.
Steven Gonsalves, another left-handed pitcher for the Astros to face. They faced quite a few over the last couple days. They faced Steven Matz last night, or yesterday, I apologize. Fastball, slider, changeup.
The game almost ended at night.
Yeah, it tried to, didn't it? My goodness. Yeah, that rain delay. Couldn't have timed that any better.
Gonsalves, 23-year-old out of San Diego, one of the top pitching prospects in the Twins organization. On the ground, that's a fair ball. George has 3 hits this spring. They are all doubles as Springer leads off the first with a double down the line.
Remember what I said about them not missing a beat? These guys just show up and rake straight out of bed. But again, left-handed pitching at 87 miles an hour, if you're not able to locate that or have some kind of movement on it, it's going to hit pretty hard. You can see Gonsalves missing his spot, wanting to go to the outside, becomes right into the kitchen of George Springer, and he turned on it.
That'll bring up Josh Reddick. One of the storylines last spring training was how much would Josh Reddick play against lefties in the regular season. Josh had himself quite a 2017 lefty on lefty.
It was a lot of fun to watch. It almost was like he was on a mission to prove everybody wrong.
Here he'll try and pull one to move Springer to third base with less than 2 outs. Reddick takes a called strike. Only one official at bat so far for Josh. He's also drawn a walk, just his second game in the 2018 spring. In the air to left. Coming on to make the play is Grossman for the first out. Josh retired on a fly ball to left, and now to bring up the AL MVP. Defensively for the Minnesota Twins, from left to right, you see Grossman, the former Astro, and center field is Ryan Lamar. Zach Granite's in right field. Eduardo Escobar, Eric Ibar, A-Ray Adrianza, and Kenny Vargas on the infield, and Mitch Garver behind the plate. Altuve swings and misses. Jose still looking for his first spring hit. 0 for 3 with a walk and a sacrifice fly. And there's his first hit on the 0-1 pitch into left field. Gary Pettis holding up Springer at third. And Altuve on the board for his first hit in spring training of 2018.
A little bit of a slider coming right back in to Jose Altuve. Good recognition, hand stay back, and he just serves a top hand lob into left field. He might actually be at first base complaining that George Springer didn't get a good enough jump to score for him. But it's spring, so they might be taking it easy on each other.
It's one of the rare stop signs you'll see from Gary Pettis.
That is true. He said his arm was sore after last season, going deep into the playoffs, waving everybody around.
Here's Carlos Correa, runners on the corners and 1 out, and field back playing a double play depth. Correa chops one foul at the plate. Astros are 5-1. The Twins come into today's play at 2-2-1. Only in spring training will you see a tie in the mix. Twins will have 2 results today as they play that split squad game. Paul Molitor, the AL Manager of the Year, decided to travel to the east coast of Florida with his crew today. They're in Jupiter tomorrow. So a couple of days on this side. They train over in Fort Myers on the west coast. Two spring training teams in Fort Myers. We will see them both on our telecast today and tomorrow. The Red Sox the other. Although as opposed to the Astros and the Nationals, they do not share their facilities. Ground ball gloved by Vargas. He's going to come home, and Springer's in a rundown, and he's telling Altuve to go to third. But Springer is now out, and Altuve is in the middle of no man's land. George Springer did not do well as a third base coach there.
Yeah, that was a full-on disaster.
Spring training is why you work on things. We'll be back after this.
TXU Energy Season Pass.
Twins get out of the bottom half of the first inning with George Springer breaking from third and then turning into a third base coach after he was hung up between third and home.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting play. Going on contact, ground ball to first. It didn't get by Vargas. He throws home to cut off George, and George says, hey, come on over to third base where the catcher's running. Seemed like a great idea at the time, but didn't exactly pan out as Jose Altuve gets stuck in purgatory.
Altuve looked around and said, I can't go anywhere.
Why am I running towards the baseball?
Obviously, in the regular season, Altuve may try and mix in a rundown throw or two, but in spring training, he had nowhere to go, and he just figured, I give up. But Springer not helping his buddy out. There's a rocket just foul down the first base side.
Yeah, during the regular season, it's really not a situation where you just take the out, let the guys hang out, because you've got a pretty good lineup coming up behind you. The guy who led the team in RBIs is hitting behind, so he would have had an opportunity to drive in some runs.
Ball's fouled away. It's a 1-2 strikes. Fastball changeup so far today from Lance. We haven't seen that power curve yet.
And we know from years past, it's not even something he throws in the bullpen.
How about that?
Just comes out, just dominates with it during the regular season when he has to.
To me, that's the most incredible thing for a guy who relies so much on that pitch that he doesn't need to warm up with it.
It's amazing.
Doesn't want to tax the arm anymore, so waits until he gets out on the mound. But he hasn't thrown one today. Just staying with the fastball changeup. Fastball, that last one came in at 88. 2-2 the count to Eduardo Escobar.
Well, there was some conversations. He came up in 2015 and looked like he was trying to strike out the world. And then the next year we kind of saw him pitching a little more to contact. And I wonder if that might be the MO here in spring training, is just trying to just fill the strike zone with fastballs and changeups for strikes.
A little bit up. Tim Fedorovich catching glance today. And the count runs full. Strikeout number 2 for McCullers, getting Eduardo Escobar to start the second.
It's just an easy delivery from Lance McCullers, not the violent mid-season one that we're accustomed to seeing, but there's great tail on that fastball.
Yeah, he's thrown a couple of nasty fastballs with that two-seam running action to left-hand hitters. We mentioned the first 7 hitters he will face swinging from the left side, either a lefty naturally or a switch hitter. Kenny Vargas, the batter. Vargas 2 for 6 this spring as McCullers with an 0-1 count. What was that
88-mile-an-hour sinker. That had such good depth to it. My initial thought as looking at it on the monitor, it looked like a changeup. There's some pretty good tilt on that. I got to write something down to ask AJ now.
He's got great movement. Whatever that pitch is that he's throwing, it is moving a lot. We think it's a fastball, but it had the movement of a changeup.
Well, during the regular season, we'll see a pitch like that, 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and the 88 will be the changeup.
Right.
And I don't think he's just predominantly pitching with changeups, because we've seen a lot of 88 to 90 and an occasional 94.
There it is. Strikeout number 3, back-to-back. Lance ramping it up a little bit, up to 95 on that strikeout as he gets Kenny Vargas. He's got these lefties just frozen on that pitch that's at them and is cutting over the plate.
He has a very, very loose, very whippy kind of arm action to him, which is a little bit different, but I'm sure that that helps him create that little bit of late tail to his pitch.
You know, the Twins probably talked about, man, we're going to see one of the nastiest curveballs in all of baseball today. And here they are facing fastball, running away from them, and changeup. There's another changeup.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just going to call it the changeup. 86, 87 miles an hour with that kind of depth.
Maybe those early pitches, because there were some 90s.
Yeah.
That's what fooled both of us. There were some 90s early, which must have been an adrenaline flow changeup.
Well, during the regular season, we sat next to each other trying to figure out what that was, and we found out later it was the changeup. He just threw it so hard, and then his fastball was offset by another 5 miles an hour.
That's the pitch right there.
Because that really looks like an easy delivery with not much different in the arm action, yet the velocity was at 95.
That was a 95, started at the hitter, break over the plate. He has, it's only 2 innings of work, but he has fooled so many different hitters with that pitch in this game.
You know what this means? I'm going to have to run down the hallway and yell at Sparky and see what he sees, or hear what he sees, because he's always on to this. Sometimes he can, Steve Sparks can, he can recognize where these guys' arm angles are, where the release point is, to maybe change that movement.
There's a ball in the right field, and that'll be the first hit of the game for the Twins. Josh Reddick will cut it off. Nick Buss heading to second. Reddick's throw comes back into the infield. So Buss a 2-out double. Well, we mentioned the last time Lance McCullers Jr. was on a mound with a paid admission in the ALCS. Actually, no, he pitched in the World Series, but in the ALCS Game 7, he threw 24 straight curveballs to end that game. So today he is going without the curveball entirely, it appears.
That'll mess with hitters.
Just to ruin our pregame open.
Yes. Well, I guess he's just going to sit on it because he knows it's going to be there for him in the regular season.
Well, and that's why you work on stuff. And as AJ told us the other day, each guy's different.
Yep.
Justin Verlander wanted to work on every pitch, and he dominated that way. 28 pitches, 20 strikes. Lance obviously wanted to work on the changeup. That was one of the first things you said you wanted to watch for today. And he has thrown some really good changeups. towards the middle. Altuve to his right, and they're going to come home with Bus, and Altuve's throw is in plenty of time out at home plate. Altuve couldn't handle it initially, but recovers in time to throw out Bus, trying to score from second.
A little bit of a shift on Jose Altuve. Has to go to his backhand, bobbles, but doesn't panic and throws home for the out.
Are you still putting in the new breaker?
On AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by TXU Energy. TXU Energy Season Pass. Call 1-866-CALL-TXU. Back for the bottom half of the second inning. Astros and Twins scoreless. Marwin Gonzalez will lead things off, facing the left-hander Steven Gonsalves. And Marwin sends one in the air deep to left center field. Grossman on the run to the track, and he'll make the catch right in front of the wall. Marwin bidding for his first home run of the spring. He's now 3 for 6. Sent that one a long way.
Another good spring training at bat. It's a good swing, and that's what Hudgens, the hitting coach, is going to tell him when he gets back. He's going to go great swing. He might have been a hair too quick, maybe. Got it off the end of the bat, or maybe just a hair too slow, get it off the label. But still a very good swing. The launch angle was probably right where he wants it to be, but during the regular season, that'll be barreled up and driven out of the ballpark.
Here's Alex Bregman taking a called strike. Alex 1 for 8 this spring with an RBI. Back to third base. We've seen him play some shortstop this spring. There's a ball down the line, but hooking foul. Mentioned we're with you Wednesday through Saturday on AT&T Sportsnet. Charlie Morton will get the start tomorrow. He'll be followed up by Colin McHugh as the Boston Red Sox will be in town. Red Sox, Yankees, and Astros, the three teams that matched up in the postseason last year, have the 3 best spring records so far in the Grapefruit League. Garrett Cole will make his first television start coming up on Friday after that against the New York Mets. And then Justin Verlander back on the hill Saturday against the Nationals. That ball in the air where Grossman is. Doesn't have to move very far. And Robbie has 3 putouts in the first 5 outs, 2 outs in the second.
It's a good look at what Todd was talking about. Boston tomorrow, the Mets on Friday, Nationals on Saturday. All these games will be covered on AT&T Sportsnet. See, Friday's game is an evening game. Catch that pregame at 4:30 on AT&T Sportsnet.
Good to mix it up every once in a while and have a night game. Here's Brian McCann back in that DH role. We can ask AJ about that as well. AJ will join us in the top half of the 4th inning. We can ask AJ when the plan is for McCann to get a start behind the plate. I know he is going to ease Brian McCann's spring training workload after a postseason in which he started all but one game, and in a World Series where he played every single inning behind the plate. Only time he was lifted in any of the World Series games worked out pretty well in Game 5 when Derek Fisher pinch ran for him, and Alex Bregman drove Fisher in from second. Lefty on lefty. Gonsalves against Brian McCann. Not only will we have A.J. Hinch in the 4th inning, we will have a Hall of Famer join us in the 6th.
It's good to see Jeff Bagwell in camp. It's even better that he's going to get on headset for us. He's down in that dugout right now for the Houston Astros.
It's become a crowded corner of the dugout. Brian McCann draws a walk. Astros spring training now in full motion. Catch all the excitement at the 15 ballpark of the Palm Beaches as the Astros prepare for the 2018 season. For tickets and more information, you can visit Astros.com. I have a feeling there will be a decent amount of Red Sox fans here tomorrow. That ball pops out of the glove of Garver. And that allows McCann to move to second. I would imagine that would be ruled a pass ball.
Yeah, hit him in a good spot.
But normally you've got A.J. Hinch, maybe 1 or 2 coaches in that corner of the dugout. Today you've got Marwin, Correa, I think that's Jake down there. Bagwell draws a crowd.
I think even Justin Verlander's down there talking to him too.
Fedorovich with a 1-1 count. Okay, so there you see.
I think that's Jeff Albert, the new assistant hitting coach on the right-hand side.
Ball slipped out of his hands. It's 2-1. There's the crowd. AJ's got, well, Correa's now going to leave because he's got to get some sunflower seeds. But you've got Jake, you've got Bag.
Yeah, Baggy's right behind that post talking to Jake Marisnik.
Pitch inside, 3-1 to count to Tim Fedorovich. Pretty cool. Bags will be here at least through the weekend. We'll get him on our telecast scheduled for the 6th inning today. Popped up in the air. Vargas and the catcher Garver. It's going to be Garver who takes control and puts it away for the final out of the inning. So a walk and a man left on base. We're through 2, scoreless.
We welcome you back, and it's never too late to join the team. 2018 Astros Buddies memberships are now available for kids 12 and under. Buddies receive 4 tickets to an Astros regular season game, a backpack, cap, socks, and exclusive benefits throughout the year. For only $25, visit astros.com/buddies today to sign up. TK, before you get into the new pitcher, I will tell you guys, Lance McCullers, before he ran off, he will speak to media here in just a few seconds, but told me it was all fastball changeup today. That is what he needed to work on. So felt pretty good from there. We'll see what he has to say to the rest of the media here pretty shortly.
Look good, Julia. It's a good thing it's not Players Weekend because he wouldn't have lived up to the nickname of Snapdragon today. But Joe Smith, Blummer, our first chance to look at Joe Smith, and he was, you know, everybody talked about Garrett Cole as a big acquisition this offseason. Joe Smith might play a pretty big role in AJ's bullpen.
Yeah, you know what's unique about Joe Smith is that delivery. He has that sidearm, almost a submarine delivery, has a fastball, doesn't throw very hard. He's averaging right around 89 miles an hour, has a very good slider and a changeup. The thing about Joe Smith and that delivery is it makes him effective with that slider to right-handed hitters, but he's also effective to left-handed hitters too with that sinker at 89 diving away from them. So it might be one of those guys that AJ can use against left-handed hitters.
When we were trying to figure out when AJ would use Joe in this game, we said, well, it kind of is dictated by where they are in the lineup. And sure enough, the only two right-handers in the Twins lineup are due up back-to-back here. So Smith comes on in the third. Mitch Garver, Ryan Lamar, a couple of righties, then back to the top of the lineup where it'll be all lefties or switch hitters the first 7 spots.
Only 5 more innings, so no more alcohol.
Pop tie in the air. George Springer is there. Springer shielding his eyes from the sun, puts it away for out number 1. Springer getting married in the offseason, as did others in the Astros organization, including Justin Verlander right after the World Series. And Tony Sipp's wedding ended up paying off for the Astros, Julia, because it helped in a little recruiting of the guy on the mound, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Joe talked about that wedding, Tony Sipp's wedding, earlier in the offseason and how much fun he had hanging around the guys. He could tell there was already something special about that team by just that night and how much fun they had. But knew Tony pretty well from their days back in Cleveland, and said when he was with Anaheim coming up, he got to know some of the guys when they would meet out in the outfield. So familiar with some of the relievers already, and just couldn't wait to be a part of this particular group, and especially that bullpen out there.
Joe began his career as a New York Met, but spent the majority of his time in the big leagues with the Indians, 2009 through 13, and then again moved over the trade deadline from the Blue Jays back to the Indians. When you're on the hot corner, as Alex Bregman is, a lot of times you will get those ground balls from the sidearmer Smith. Now Alex will have to field a bunt. No, he won't. Smith takes control, and Joe unable to field it cleanly. So Zach Granite on after a ball got past Alex Bregman for an error. Granite follows up with a bunt, and now first and second with 1 out.
Back-to-back errors, and I think there might be a little bit of a conversation. I know that Joe Smith bounces off the mound extremely well, but Alex Bregman right there might have had a better angle to make that play. But again, we're here in spring, and this is where you get to learn new teammates and figure out what's going on.
It's a good point. He probably didn't even think that Bregman was going to be as close as he was, and Alex was in there in a hurry and probably had a better shot to make that play. That's going to go as an error as well. So back-to-back errors charged to the Astros. Almost had an error in the last inning too, as Altuve couldn't field a ground ball cleanly. They did give Eric Ibar a hit on that as it was up the middle.
Well, you have a chance in spring training to learn personnel, and you also have to be situationally aware. 9-hole hitter gets on, leadoff man is up there. He's probably not trying to do too much damage in a 0-0 game. Probably trying to move that runner into scoring position with that bunt. Really a no-lose situation for Granite. If he lays it down and he's out, it's a sacrifice. If he lays it down and gets a hit out of it, it's a hit.
A-Ray Adrianza the batter, and he fouls one away. Smith, when he moved from the Blue Jays to the Indians, pitched in 21 games for his buddy Terry Francona. And in the process of those 21 games, he did not walk a batter. He's a guy that will throw strikes coming out of the bullpen.
Not afraid of contact, and if you're playing defense behind Joe Smith, you better be ready. Be on those toes. Almost 56% of the time in his career, he's going to get a ground ball.
That ball just missed the corner as he tried to break that slider on for a called third strike. Adrianza left it in the hands of Lance Barksdale, who said it was just a bit outside. Astros wouldn't mind a ground ball here. Instead, the count stays 2-2. Through his career, Smith has allowed a .705 OPS to left-hand hitters and a .588 OPS to right-hand hitters. Last year, those numbers stayed in play. .546 OPS against righties, .702 against lefties. That ball's hit hard towards the corner and right. That will score a run. Coming around is Lamar. Now Granite with good speed is going to head home as well. It's a 2 RBI double for Adrianza. Ball gets away momentarily, but no more advancement on the bases. The Twins take a 2-0 lead.
When I talked about Joe Smith's repertoire being fastball, slider, changeup, he only throws that changeup maybe 2 or 3% of the time. So as a left-handed hitter, you can sit on that heater part-time slider, but right there, that was a sinker that flattened out right out over the middle of the plate.
Yeah, the changeup does not come into play very much. He will throw a sinker a little bit more to righties and that four-seamer a little more to lefties. Now facing 7 straight lefties, beginning with Granite, who bunted his way on, ruled an error. That ball's hit hard, but it's on one hop to Reed, and he'll need help from Joe Smith. Pitcher's fielding practice in the spring comes into play as A.J. Reed slipped after fielding that ground ball. 2 away, runner to third. Smith's going to have to work in this inning a little harder than usual, as there are 2 outs and 2 runners reach base on errors. So in essence, he's had to pick up 5 outs this inning.
Good play by A.J. Reed on the hot smash down to first base. Did a good job of flipping it, but what he did after the play was kind of veteranish for me. Walking back with Joe Smith, giving him a chance to regroup, settle down, get his breath back.
And now
it's a long way for those pitchers to go all the way to first base to cover.
Wind sprints. Take another look at this, Plummer. You look at it.
Yeah, you look at it.
No, we won't. Here's Eduardo Escobar. He swings at the first pitch and pops it high in the air. A.J. Reed, Jose Altuve squinting into the sun. It's Altuve who takes control for the final out. So Smith, a couple of unearned runs in his Astros debut, and a smile on his face as he trots off with the AL MVP.
Big time bats.
Guarantee all the 2018 tickets you want with a full or partial season plan. Season ticket plans let you enjoy the best seats at Minute Maid Park. Save money and receive great benefits all year. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com/season tickets for more information to get your seats today.
Great moments at Minute Maid Park. That place was rocking for 3 straight series. Red Sox, Yankees, and Dodgers, and we are underway in the bottom half of the third. Twins lead the Astros 2-0. A couple of unearned runs with a couple of errors by the Astros. in the top half of this inning. Steven Gonsalves back out there for a third inning of work facing A.J. Reed. And as you heard from Julia before the game, Yuli Gurriel undergoing successful surgery to remove the hook of the hamate bone in his left hand. And Plummer, that means there could be a guy on this team that makes the roster and gets some playing time at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, there's going to be a real opportunity. We knew with Yuli's 5-game suspension, there was already talk about how they were going to use that roster spot. Now you have to talk about how you're going to use that roster spot for 4 to 6 weeks, possibly with him out after having hand surgery. And A.J. Reed is one of those guys that jumps back into the mix. Lost a ton of weight over the offseason, coming into spring training fit, and now you show up to spring training and you show up into camp, and things have definitely shifted a little bit for maybe these guys that are on the bubble. Calling the game yesterday on radio, we saw that J.D. Davis started at third base. Tyler White started at first base. In about the third inning, they flipped. And we heard A.J. talking about how he likes to have versatile guys out there, and maybe J.D. Davis moving across the diamond might be an opportunity for him to sneak onto that roster too, getting some time over there.
You'd always have Marwin play some first too and go with an extra outfielder. A lot of options for A.J. Hinch to consider, and there's a 3-2 pitch that Reed misses, a high fastball for a first strikeout for Gonsalves.
And that wouldn't be a typical opportunity for A.J. Reed, even in the big leagues. Left on left is not going to be his strength. He's going to be out there trying to crush right-handed pitching. But a lot of movable parts. Marwin being that switch hitter helps out a ton. Jake Marisnik, a right-handed hitter. Derek Fisher, left-handed hitter. J.D. Davis, a right-handed hitter. There's some really good guys out there to choose from, and there is depth in this organization.
Springer doubled down the line his first time up, and then was caught between third and home trying to score on a ground ball off the bat of Carlos Correa. That turned into a double play. A.J. Hinch will join us in the next half inning, as he usually does in the top half of the fourth. Gonsalves' first start of the spring came against the University of Miami, and he is now the first Twins pitcher to pitch more than 2 innings in a game this spring. You wouldn't blame Paul Molitor for not wanting to go to his bullpen early against the Astros.
Yeah, Sparky and I wanted to ask him what it would be like to go and sit in on a meeting going into a game against the Astros lineup. And I said, is it mentally exhausting knowing that you're going to face every guy that's going to try and push you to a 3-2 count and lay off borderline pitches? And he said, absolutely.
That series last year that included the incredible comeback on Memorial Day, they outscored the Twins 40-16, and 27 of those runs came against the Twins bullpen.
It's not too often that I'm or in the vicinity of a ball game where I feel bad for the opposing team. I felt bad for the opposing team that series. That was rough.
George Springer has ripped the ball up the middle for his second consecutive hit. Springer with a double down the line, and now a smash single up the middle. Springer 4 for 7 in 2018 spring training.
Got himself a cookie. Just ripped it right back up the middle.
Springer and Vargas are good buddies over there at first base. We saw George in the pregame sprints run and jump into the arms of Kenny Vargas.
Yeah, that was a full bro embrace.
So they'll catch up at first while Reddick has a 1-0 count. Josh flied out to left his first time up. Check swing, excuse me. A couple of hops to the third baseman, Eduardo Escobar, who makes the play. Springer moves over to second. Puts a runner in scoring position for Jose Altuve with 2 outs. Astros got 2 strong innings out of Lance McCullers Jr. Lance struck out 3 and really showed some good movement on both the fastball and the changeup. Lance in a rare appearance without throwing a curveball, but as we heard from Julia, just wanted to work on the changeup a lot today and As a two-pitch pitcher, he had the Twins off balance on a lot of at-bats.
It's amazing, and it kind of gives you an idea of what that third pitch can bring to the table. I know it's early in spring training, but like you had mentioned, that the fact that he's so heavy on the curveball, and then you take it out and put something else in, just gave one more thing for those hitters to think about.
The changeup can be that effective during the season. That will be a beautiful thing. 1-1 the count to Altuve.
That's the other interesting thing about having the Astros here in Florida and pretty much everybody else out there in Arizona is you can work on those things and throw it often as you want. They're going to see some video on it, but they're not going to face it.
I really think that's a great point. I really think that's advantage Astros. They're the only team that has that situation where they're the only one in their division in one grapefruit league, and the rest of the divisions in Arizona in the Cactus League.
I mean, this day and age, we know that we can't hide too much from organizations because of the access to information and video, but it's another thing to watch it on tape and to see it in person.
Springer thought about advancing, but it was blocked nicely by Garver at the plate on a pitch in the dirt. 2-2 to Altuve. Altuve with a hit his first time up, now 1 for 4 in the spring. .45 pitches for Gonzalez, so he may be near his limit. There's bullpen action going for the Twins. Gonzalez last year spent most of the time at AA Chattanooga, also pitched in Rochester 5 games. Pass Gonzalez towards the middle, fielded by Ibar. No play at first. George is being held up by Pettis. And now George will go back to the bag. George already got caught once between third and home, and Pettis, wanting to make sure that didn't happen a second time, almost had to stop George as he almost ran into his third base coach.
Yeah, that was a pretty good read. Usually with two outs and you're the runner at second base, is Paul Molitor coming out to get Gonzalez. You put your head down and you start to make that turn just in case they make that throw to first, continue to home plate in case somebody makes a mistake and you score.
George and Gary having a nice word about that. Gonzalez's day is over after 46 pitches. We'll tell you about the new arm out of the Twins bullpen after this.
Internet.
Two 2-0 game. Twins with a new pitcher. Runners on the corners and 2 outs. Matt McGill takes over.
Minor leaguer coming over and helping out. Paul Molitor and these Minnesota Twins has time with the Dodgers and the Reds. Fastball at 91 miles an hour, slider, changeup, and a curveball.
Made 6 starts for the Dodgers back in 2013 and also pitched 5 times out of the Reds bullpen in the 2016 season. And he gets to face Carlos Correa as his first batter today, with Springer on third and Altuve on first. Hopefully that's a scenario we repeat often during the regular season. Called strike on the first pitch from McGill. First appearance for McGill for the Twins this spring. On the ground towards the hole, Ibar gloves it. He has no play. Carlos Correa with an RBI infield hit, scoring George Springer. Astros on the board, now down 2-1.
A couple of seeing eye infield hits with 2 outs leading to that run. Not smashed, but still qualifies for a base hit and an RBI for Carlos Correa, sprinting out of the box, smelling that infield hit. Good job by Ibar just to eat that, because if he tries to fire across the diamond, he's got no chance to get Correa, and Altuve will advance another 90 feet.
Both RBIs for Carlos this spring are on infield hits. He hustled his way into an infield hit on his previous RBI, and Josh Reddick came around from second to score on a wide throw that was gloved, but they couldn't make the throw home in time. Now Marwin Gonzalez at the plate, Astros RBI leader from 2017. And McGill misses for ball 1. Marwin flied out deep to left field as a right-hand hitter his first time up. McGill was in the Padres organization last year. Made 19 starts for El Paso in the Pacific Coast League. Marwin backs out of the way, and pitch misses inside. It's 2-0. Marwin is 3 for 6 this spring. Off the end of the bat. If it stays fair, it's trouble, and Escobar is going to let it roll foul. Eduardo Escobar with a nice decision at third base.
Too shabby. Marwin will probably have to have a talk with the grounds crew here at 15th Ballpark of the Palm Beaches. Taking a leisurely stroll back to the box after that sprint down the first base line. It's a good thing Escobar didn't have to get down and wish that one foul. Did it on its own.
It's also a veteran move by Escobar too, because the home plate umpire Lance Barksdale threw him a new ball. He threw the old ball back to his pitcher and gave Angel Hernandez the new ball and let him throw it to the crowd.
That is one thing throughout in the last 3 or 4 years that I've noticed sitting up here, is that if I, at any point in my career, if I ever threw an in-game foul ball into the stands, I got absolutely yelled at by the pitcher. And granted, I played a while ago, and some of those older veteran pitchers, they kind of enjoyed having that scuff on that baseball.
Absolutely.
Namely, the pitching coach for the Texas Rangers, Doug Brocail. We had several conversations on why I threw that baseball out.
Trying to be nice to the fans. As all the way back to the wall is Robbie Grossman to make that play on Marwin Gonzalez. Marwin has gone deep to left field twice and has nothing to show for it, but sends one about 360 feet to the base of the wall for the final out of the third.
No matter
The fourth inning, top half of the fourth. Astros have a new pitcher, Framber Valdez, and we have AJ Hinch on in the top half of the fourth. AJ, you start the day with a record of 5-1, but in games you've managed, the team's 5-0. Do you consider this team still undefeated?
You know, Joe Espada is to my left, and every morning we have a review of the game that he did manage. And first impressions have been great. Our camp has been ridiculously well run. The one game he managed, maybe not so much. So we're going to give him another shot next Tuesday. We have a split squad. I'm letting him pick his own team, his own location, and we'll get him a win.
That's good to hear. We know that George Springer is supremely talented, but we didn't realize he was a base coach now, waving Altuve, having him run into outs. It's kind of good.
You know, Blummer, they say players play and coaches coach. We should probably stick with that.
We got plenty of video if you need it for tomorrow morning's meeting.
Yeah, I can imagine that's going to be on the big screen here at some point, and we'll show that players play and coaches coach.
AJ, you had quite a crowd over there when Jeff Bagwell was hanging out with you. I think, you know, half the starting lineup was over there trying to learn from Bags.
That's right. It's nice to have Baggy around. You know, he came in late last night, ended up in our morning meeting, gave some pretty good words, and as he told me before I came on the set, I said, "What can I talk about?" They're going to ask me about you, Baggy. He said, "Well, I was the worst spring training player in the history of baseball, except for 1991, which was I think it was rookie year when he made the team." But it's really cool for these guys, even our star players, obviously Keuchel and Verlander and, you know, Hosey and Carlos. These guys just flock to him when he comes around. Biggio will be in town a little later. I know Clemens is going to come by. We had Roy Oswalt last year. Just really cool to go, you know, player on player advice from back in the day and have their presence known.
Lance McCullers looked good. We didn't see that curveball that he throws predominantly, but it was fastball changeup today. Just give us an idea of what his game plan was and what you thought.
Yeah, I'm going to ask him, like, at what point did you really want to break the game plan of throwing fastball changeup and throw the hook? But he'll break that out. Yeah, he wanted to. He'll break that out. But it's, you know, it's nice. I think sometimes we forget that the first time out on the mound and having a game plan. You know, Lance knows he's on our team. He knows he's going to pitch one of the first 5 games if all health is good. And you know, getting through that first outing and getting back into the rhythm of playing baseball again is. He's one of the last guys I think to debut. I think Dallas will be here in the next couple days, and then we'll have all our guys have played.
And Lance McCullers, this will be turn it.
That's one.
It's a good start. I'll save all the first base talk for later because I'm still on the Lance McCullers talk. Lance, this will be his 3rd full season coming in. Is there any talk with Lance or any emphasis on the fact that you want to see him get into that 30 starts a year range now that he's established himself as a rotation guy?
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously it's more start to start and getting his program in place, and I think that's where Justin and Dallas and Colin and Charlie Morton, these guys can lend some advice. Garrett Cole coming over from a new organization will lend some advice on just how to get through the rigors of the season. You know that you know the days of like the 35, 37 pitch or game outings is not probably gonna happen for starters. We do sort of monitor their workload, but he's got to find a good routine. I think that's where the second year, the 3rd year, the 4th year, starting pitchers start to understand how much do you throw in between. It used to be a huge long toss and then maybe a bullpen. Now it's cut down a little bit. They're all individual programs, but Lance needs to find the right one for him to where he's throwing enough and working enough to sharpen his game and develop at the major league level, but also paying attention to the fact that it's a long season. We want him to make, you know, as many starts as he can, but we want to make sure that he definitely makes you know, those starts at the end like he did.
We learned this morning that your first baseman, Yuli Gurriel, had surgery really as we were getting ready to start this game. And I guess in terms of timing, you'd rather have it the final day of February than any of the next 8 months. But what are your thoughts about Yuli and the possibility of now a spot opening up on that opening day roster?
No, it's tough. He's had this injury on and off again for the last few years. We found that out that he's been dealing with it over time, and you know, he felt it a little bit, I think, on his home run swing the other day. So he's taken like a 1 swing this spring, and I think it was a homer. So he got checked out and needed to have the hook of that hamate removed, and it's pretty standard procedure, you know, protocol, but it does open up the opportunity for, you know, the Tyler White, AJ Reed, JD Davis. Those 3 will get the most reps at first base. One of them was going to make our team anyway because of the suspension at the beginning of the season, but that opportunity widened a little bit. and we'll get a good hard look at those guys to see who breaks with us.
A little bit of disappointment because you wanted to see Yuli get some reps at second and third this spring?
Yeah, I am just for two reasons. One is just spring training workload alone. You know, it sounds like it'll be fine that we'll get us some at bats in the minor leagues and things like that. But anytime a guy misses the whole spring, you know, he got a couple at bats and a couple reps at first. He even played third the other day when he got scratched. So I am bummed to not move him around like I said I was going to, and we'll incorporate that during the season or during his rehab assignment when the minor league season starts. But anytime a player misses the preparation side of it, it worries me.
Do you have a meeting with the team, or do you pull guys aside individually when a big injury happens to somebody in your starting lineup?
Well, two things. One, I mean, Yuli announced his surgery on Instagram, so in the world of social media,
I was trying to avoid it, but
he took it into his own hands as far as letting the team know. Letting the players know. I did have some one-on-ones with those three guys and just say, hey, you know, just as a heads up, this is happening. You're going to get a few more at bats, a few more opportunities. Put a little bit of pressure on these guys to see how they respond, and you know, it's a full-fledged competition. We really don't have a bias going into right-handed, left-handed, doesn't matter. I know that Davis and White can move around the field a little bit. You know, Reed's got tremendous power and kind of left-handed presence in the lineup, so it's as much of a tie race right now going into March that we could ask for.
AJ, last time we had you on with us, you were in the middle of a pitching change, and we had a technical issue and didn't get you on after that pitching change. Brandon Bailey came into the game in that telecast. Fans at home love to know what is said on the mound when you make a pitching change.
I knew you were going to go here. I didn't know you were going to go here today, but
you got to rethink how to tell this story, huh?
I know. So you know, if you set the situation is, you know, we get a lot of backups over here. The guys that don't have names on the back of their jerseys are here either on their own dime and they're just working out of the facility, or they're in a mini camp that's invited. You're going to see Yordan Alvarez, you're going to see Ren, you've seen Sierra and Nunez, and so this kid Bailey comes in, and we had traded for him this winter for Ramon Laureano, and so I knew about him, and I knew he was over. These guys come over into my office. They get into my office as quick and get out of my office as quick as they can. They want to say hello. It's a requirement from the minor league director, you know, and the field coordinator Josh Boniface. So when Bailey's running in, Max Stassi and I are talking about him, and I couldn't tell from a distance who it was. So when I got a little closer, I'm like, oh, that's Bailey. So Stassi, who's never met Bailey's brand new to the organization, says, hey, what's your name? And the poor kid goes, fastball, curveball, slider, change. And he gave his stuff, and I think he was on vapor lock. He was very nervous. But then he goes out and gets 4 straight outs. And I said, if he gets this guy out and gets through this inning, bring him back next week. He can get some more meal money, get us some more exposure. So we're going to see that kid again.
Nice play by your third baseman right there.
That was a good play. That makes up for the bad play earlier.
Does it really?
Well, maybe not for Joe Smith.
I was going to say, there's certain guys who would probably argue the other way, but it was a good play by Alex Bregman. J.D. Davis and Tyler White started at third and first yesterday, and you flipped them. Have you seen enough from J.D. to understand that he might be an option at first base?
He's definitely an option at first base. He's been working with Joe Espada, you know, who doubles bench coach / infield coach, and that's another good reason why Baggy's here. We put Baggy in the half field. I said, hey, Jeff, welcome to camp. Get to the half field. Half field with J.D. Davis.
Yes, please.
Welcome to camp. So they'll get some work in, and he's definitely can do it. He's done it a couple times already this spring. I'll get him a start here in the next few games. He'll work with Joe every morning, and it's the familiarity with the glove and some of those tweener plays and some of the nuances of the position. But somehow, some way, he'll make himself viable when he knows a big league spot's open. He'll be fine.
Absolutely.
You mentioned Joe Smith, a couple of unearned runs today. Everybody talked about the acquisition of Garrett Cole, but you've got a couple of new arms in the bullpen with Rondon and Joe.
Yeah, we do, and it balances out things pretty well in the pen. And you know, you factor that in with the Chris Davinsky and Ken Giles, and you know, if Peacock ends up down there and Will Harris, these are guys that you start to look down there. There's not a name down there that you're not wanting to bring in. So matchup wise, it's good. You know, Smith will get a lot of righties. He's got some defense mechanisms against lefties. Rondon's got the high velo. So 2 new guys, but they'll fit in seamlessly with how we run the bullpen.
And Peacock started yesterday, looked good. Are you going to try and stretch him out? Is there an idea of how many starts he'll have in spring?
Yeah, you know, both he and McHugh. I mean, I've been very honest with these guys. If we stay healthy, you know, it's a very good chance that both those guys go in the pen. So we've got to make a decision around the middle of March, about 10 days left in camp, when we want to make sure we get a back-to-back, or we want to have them literally just run in from the bullpen in the middle of an inning or in the middle of their outing. So we'll do our best to make a decision, but we've also got to you know, kind of watch out for anything that can come up, a blister, a fingernail, a sore arm, a sore leg, anything that happens in the rotation. They've got to be able to press fast forward and be the backup plan, so to speak. So it's a good problem to have. We have too many starting pitchers, but it's not going to be an issue. But we'll decide around the middle of the month.
A couple of hits and a walk issued in this inning, and now we'll get a mound visit. I think this is number 2 on the day.
Yeah, I just saw Lance Barksdale actually put up 2.
You know what I was wondering, AJ?
That I should go out and argue that the first one was in between innings?
Yes.
I was wondering about.
Keep the headset on when you do that.
I know you're going to get more clarity when you meet with the MLB guys, but there's a common courtesy in you being a catcher. Whenever a foul tip goes off the mask of an umpire, what does that now?
I hope you can go visit them. I mean, for the you know, for the best interest of everybody, I think that one's a little more common sense. But there'll be an argument or two over these, and we'll see. You know, the other day it happens where, you know, you throw the pitcher comes in, warms up, throws the ball down to second base. You know, traditionally you've seen the catcher run out. They're talking about sign. If a guy gets on second, they're talking about maybe the first hitter. And when he comes back, that's a visit. If you go out before the warm-up tosses, it's not considered a visit. So some of those things are going to be worked out over time, and you know, there'll be some common sense issues that come up. And you know, again, we put on a bunt play, and Alex Bregman walks halfway to the mound, which is what you've normally. Blummer, you know this. You were third baseman. You would tell the pitcher what play is on verbally. Like, is that a visit? Is it not a visit? You know, again, things that we're going to have to deal with over the next couple weeks of spring before we get started.
AJ, as always, appreciate the time.
Thank you, AJ.
All right, AJ Hinch joining us top half of the 4th as they work out of a bases-loaded situation with a fly out to center.
This week on a brand new edition of Astros Bases Loaded, we look back at an abbreviated offseason. We talk with Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander about spring training preparation and recap Astros Caravan and FanFest. All that on Astros Bases Loaded Fridays before pregame, only on AT&T Sportsnet. And Alex Bregman leads off this inning. He's another guy we sat down with, and we'll have a nice feature on him. Brian McCann's going to follow him up, and one of the things I remember from that sit down with McCann, talking about his teammate Bregman, was saying that Bregman reminds McCann a lot of himself when he was younger. Just the thinking about baseball 24/7. You know you're going to be successful because of how much you love it and how much you want it. Interesting, but McCann, obviously a huge fan of the third baseman for the Astros. TK?
Yeah, why? I mean, Alex Bregman, what a baseball savant he is. He eats, sleeps, breathes the game of baseball and takes first pitch strike, 0-1. Michael Kahn taking over as the new pitcher for the Minnesota Twins. Saw him a number of years as a member of the Angels. Most recently, he was with the Atlanta Braves in 2015 at the big league level. And it's 1-1 to Alex Bregman. Astros scoring a run last inning on an RBI single by Carlos Correa. A couple of unearned runs allowed by the Astros in the top half of the third. The Twins lead this game 2-1.
You know, being a fan of Bregman might. Wow, that guy was really happy to see Bregman up there. But it's probably because Alex Bregman is one of the more entertaining players I think I've run across in a while. All the way around.
Yep.
I mean, right down to some of the suits he wears on the flights.
Yeah. He has got a unique style.
I'm glad it's his.
It involves a lot of plaid. Some people can pull off plaid suits. Julia, how would you describe the sartorial style of one young Alex Bregman?
Yeah, that's who we need to go to.
Oh, before we go to Julia, Alex sends one deep to left field, and he says, style this, home run, Alex Bregman. A solo shot, his first of the spring, and we are all tied at 2.
The way he swings the bat is also very entertaining. He was a gym rat in the offseason, adjusting the diet, and now he's got that first spring training bomb out of the way. Peter, tailing right over the middle part of the plate, and Alex Bregman knows exactly what to do with that. We know that he is compact to the baseball, and then watch him release through that, adding some extra distance to it, putting it up on the berm in left field.
Bregman gets his first of the spring, and here's Brian McCann. Remember, it took Alex a while to get his first of the regular season last year. Got that slam on Derek Jeter Tribute Day at Yankee Stadium. Julia, going back to the style question, how would you describe Alex Bregman's personal style of fashion?
Of fashion?
Yeah, like what he wears on the Chargers, I guess basically is where we're going with this.
You know, I think he just, he likes to get a rise out of his teammates.
He was like a 1950s blackjack dealer.
I'm not sure. Are you talking about the red plaid?
Yes.
Well, so the thing is that last year, when this team started winning, they all just had to keep the same things going. And they just kept winning. So we kind of saw that same suit over and over. It's a good suit, though.
On him.
Get a bowl of soup with that. 0-2 to McCann as he pops one up, foul, and out of play. No, like I was saying earlier, before the home run, certain guys can pull it off.
Oh, yeah.
Alex can pull it off.
Oh, he's got the bravado to pull anything off. I mean, he's not going to be shy about it either. What I love about Alex Bregman, and you have these guys in your clubhouse who attract attention by wearing a certain suit or saying a certain phrase over and over, you know, or doing something just goofy on the field every once in a while. And he'll dish it out every once in a while. But what Alex, for me, does a very good job of is he takes it.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great guy in the clubhouse. He doesn't live in that glass house where he can shell it out and you can't say anything in return. He's more than happy to, you know, get that return fire and create that banter and that entertainment in the clubhouse.
He does have a good sense of humor about all of it. He knew it was coming with the social media post.
That's what I mean. It's almost like he did it on purpose.
Yeah.
This is not the right clubhouse, or really any major league clubhouse, if you can't wear it a little bit.
Yeah,
because
you have. You're
well,
around these guys.
As long as George Springer's in there.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Ted Tucker.
You look at him.
He's no longer Kyle Tucker anymore.
He's got his own nameplate that says Ted.
the kid, as if you don't need enough pressure to make the big leagues.
I was say he's already got enough attention. Now he's got his own nameplate.
Now he's got to live up to the Ted Williams moniker.
Oh, man.
Always good to talk to your manager after a home run. Alex and AJ having a few words. And we heard AJ make sure he put Alex in his place after he caught the line drive, saying,
oh, yeah. No, that's the manager's mentality. He'll come back in and go, hey, I made a great play and I hit a home run. Skip. He goes, yeah, but you also kicked that one earlier in the game. It's just, let's tone it down. Yep, keep the spikes on the ground.
2-0 the count to Tim Fedorovich. Alex and Baggy sharing a laugh. We'll have Jeff Bagwell on in the 6th inning. Fedorovich with a 3-0 count, and Kahn walks him on 4 pitches. So home run, strikeout, and a walk. This is the true outcome inning so far. Single game tickets for the Astros 2018 season are now on sale. March the 2nd. It'll be March the 2nd is our start date, a couple days from now. Catch all the excitement happening at Minute Maid Park, including matchups against the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Rangers, the Indians. For more info, visit astros.com/tickets or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. A lot of people are counting down the hours until individual game tickets go on sale.
They better be. This team actually is better, could be better than last year. I don't know how that even makes sense, but they could be better than last year. Get out and watch the show.
You and I do a lot of guest appearances on various talk shows in the offseason. I would think the national opinion is higher now of the 2018 Astros than even the team that won the World Series. It's just hard to imagine.
Yeah, they're going to have a target on their back, being the World Series champion, so everybody's going to want to knock them down a level, and then you have the expectation of being as good or almost better than they were last year. So there's a lot on the line for these Houston Astros. They've got a lot to deal with, but I still feel that these guys are young enough, and that youth encourages a hunger to do it again, because a lot of these guys are still in their arbitration years. They haven't become free agents yet, so they're still playing for a lot.
A.J. Reed sends one high in the air into right field. Coming on and make the play for out number 2 is the new right fielder for the Twins.
I can't remember who said it. I want to say that it was Carlos Correa, and he said the word legacy, and that kind of resonated with me. That these guys are thinking about legacy. They have a chance to really lay down a couple of good years of winning years here in Houston.
Lamont Wade making that catch in right as he came on as a pinch hitter last inning. Well, when you look at the team in general, the offense is pretty much intact. When we were talking to AJ, we mentioned the additions of Joe Smith and Hector Rondon. The starting rotation, you still have Dallas Keuchel, you still have Lance McCullers Jr., you still have Charlie Morton. Last year, the other 2 starters were Mike Fiers and Joe Musgrove. This year, the other 2 starters will be Justin Verlander and Garrett Cole.
And you have Brad Peacock and Colin McHugh if you get desperate.
Yeah,
those are luxury items.
Last year was a disappointment that McHugh was hurt, because that was a big part of your rotation. And this year, Colin, as AJ said, he's been very honest with them. Right now, it's a numbers game, and Colin may not find himself in that starting 5 at the beginning of the year if everybody stays healthy. George Springer's had himself a nice day today.
Yeah, he should be able to sleep good tonight, huh? Get some rest, but he's been swinging the bat well. That first AB pitch, it missed its spot by a good 1.5 feet, and he raked it down that left field line for a double. Next AB, short and quick on a heater, and shoots it right back up the middle. Good exit velo on that one.
George hoping this ball drifts foul out of play, and it does hit the net, just barely foul out of the reach of the catcher Garver. So George gets another shot with a 1-2 count. And a fan with a Justin Verlander jersey gets the foul ball. We will see Verlander make his second start of the spring over the weekend against the Washington Nationals on Saturday. Swing and a miss. Kahn strikes out George Springer to end the inning. But Alex Bregman ties the game up at 2 with a solo home run to start the 4th.
This is not just a 20.
Play. It's brought to you by What a Burger, and it was in that American League Championship Series. Alex Bregman got himself in a great position to throw home. Cut down Bird at home plate on a great play on both ends. You can see the finishing. That slide really took out the left arm of Brian McCann. But this play was all set up actually earlier in September when he had a conversation and had an opportunity when he had a similar situation with a runner at first and third, ground ball to Alex Bregman. He tried to turn two. It didn't work out. Had the conversation with A.J. Hinch, and he said, next time you get that play, cut down that run at home plate. And that previous play led to him enabling himself to get in position to throw that ball home and cut off Greg Bird at home plate. And that was a huge play in that championship series.
It really was, and we showed a series of really good defensive plays against the Yankees in that ALCS, and it was a pitching-dominated series.
Yeah.
The ALCS, as Framber Valdez gets his second inning of work facing A-Ray Adrianza. Astros only hit 187 and scored 20 runs in that 7-game set against the Yankees. The Yankees only hit 205, so the team that played the best defense was a huge factor in some of those wins.
Yeah, and oftentimes in those playoff series, every single run counts. So if you have the chance to cut that run off at home plate, you take the chance, and Alex did. And thank goodness Brian McCann held on to that baseball, because that slide was a lot more vicious than it initially looked when we saw it in the playoffs.
That is the underrated part of that play. As good as the play was made by Bregman, and he had to make a split-second decision for McCann to hold on to that ball as Bird was bearing in on him. That was one of the more important defensive plays of that ALCS.
And it also could be a situation, too, where Alex says, hey, if we get in this situation again, Brian McCann, be ready. I'm coming home.
Valdez with a 3-2 count to the leadoff hitter, Adrianza. Astros still have their starting infield in the game. George Springer is no longer playing center. There's a base hit for Adrianza in the left field.
Going back to September, this is the play we were talking about. First and third, one out, ground ball to Bregman, and he tried to extend himself to get that double play to get out of the inning. With Justin Upton running, he was unable to complete that double play, but that would have been a play where if he had come home, he would have cut off the run at home plate easily. We always talk about how the youth of this team, they are athletic. He thought he had a chance to make that play, but sometimes you have to go through and maybe fail every once in a while to learn from that experience, and that's exactly what Alex Bregman did. And I think that's even a life lesson. We can fail sometimes, and if the situation comes up again, you make the adjustment, make the correct play, and help your team out.
Great example of a regular season decision that impacted the team in the postseason in a big way. Robbie Grossman, the hitter. Grossman, a couple of ground outs today. Robbie with the Astros from 2013 through 2015, the last 2 years with Minnesota. Valdez trying to go 2 innings again today. Framber pitched 2 innings against the Braves in his first outing. He's thrown a lot of pitches this afternoon. He is up to 30, 15 balls, 15 strikes. And with that in mind, the Astros are going to get some bullpen action going with nobody out in the 5th. Jeffrey Allen Boshears, Buddy Boshears warming up.
What's wrong with the first name Jeff?
He is a buddy.
Did he get a buddy membership?
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
He might be the buddy president.
Talk about the perfect marketing strategy right there. Valdez again a check at first. Twins scored 2 in the third. They came against Joe Smith. Joe had a couple of errors in that inning, including one that he made himself, trying to field a bunt. So they became unearned runs. And the Astros came back with 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. We are tied at 2 as Grossman, batting right-handed for the first time, fouls one away. It's 2-2. Robbie looking for his first spring training hit. He is so far 0 for 11. That was close to a balk. Valdez last year started at Bowie's Creek, 13 games, 9 starts. Moved up to Corpus Christi, another 9 starts in a dozen games. 24-year-old lefty trying to make an impression in spring training.
Well, as quick as Robbie Grossman's first 2 ABs, this one is not. A couple of pickoffs. He stepped out, foul balls. Framber wants a ground ball here.
He'll take that. Picks up a strikeout. Strikeout number 1 for Framber Valdez.
He had to work for it. Good job of Fedorovich setting up on that inside corner after the previous pitch was a backdoor slider that was spoiled by Robbie Grossman, but Framber comes back with the heater down and in for the swing and miss. Nice pitch.
Since Springer left the game after his third at bat, you would think the rest of the guys that are still in there, Altuve's, the Correas, the Reddicks, Marwin, they're probably going to get a third at bat and then call it a day as well. Drew Ferguson is the new center fielder for the Astros. Good day for George, who's now 4 for 8 on the spring. There's Drew taking over in center field. We will shortly see a lot of the regulars also be replaced. Marwin playing left field today. We've seen him all over. One thing AJ does with Marwin is he makes sure he knows 2 or 3 days, sometimes 4 in advance. You're going to play this position this day, that position the next day, day off. He gives Marwin a lot of advance notice as to where he's going to be in the field.
It may sound like not such a big deal at home, but that's a big deal to a guy like Marwin Gonzalez. He carries around a herd of gloves to play wherever AJ wants him. And the reason AJ gives him that heads up is because Marwin Gonzalez isn't your standard Carlos Correa or Jose Altuve where they know which position they're going to and which side of the batter's box they're going to go stand in. He plays all over the field, so he's got to put in a little extra time to go out there and work on each position. He's got to put a little extra time in the cage because he's got to work on 2 swings. So those super utility guys like Marwin Gonzalez like having that heads up because they know on that day that they are going to go out and play left field, they will go out and shag more fly balls in left field than they will take ground balls on the infield.
Escobar stays alive.
It's also a good note for kids at home to hear a guy like AJ Hinch, a big league manager, who says he likes to have versatile players. That means he likes to have athletes on his team. Go play those different positions. You may not be perfectly great at all of them, but you want to be able to play at a big league level, and that's a credit to Marwin getting himself prepared every season to be a big league left fielder, third baseman, second baseman, shortstop, first baseman. It's not easy to do.
All right, super utility position for Marwin. He was super last year, playing everywhere and leading the team in RBIs.
Pretty special.
It's not an easy task, but wherever they put Marwin, he was ready to go last year. And then he hit perhaps the biggest home run in the postseason.
Oh man, yeah.
Game 2 of the World Series. 3-2 to Escobar, and that is a walk. We're above 40 pitches now for Framber Valdez as he gets a little extended in this outing, but he will stay in there with runners on first and second and 1 out. Kenny Vargas will bat. Both teams with 6 hits, both teams with 2 runs. Buddy Boshears, a lefty, is ready to go. There's a lefty on deck. We will see if this is the last batter for Frombear. There's a called strike. Mentioned the Twins have 4 consecutive switch hitters. This is the final of those 4. Adrianza, Grossman, Escobar, and now Kenny Vargas. Valdez misses 1-1. Vargas a strikeout and a single. He was the first batter that Valdez faced. Frombear has allowed 3 hits. He's also walked a couple in an inning and a third so far. Towards Correa. Gloves. Altuve 1. They turn 2. Valdez gets an inning-ending double play off the bat of Kenny Vargas. Correa to Altuve to A.J. Reed to end the top half of the 5th.
Dynamic duo playing behind. Frombear gets a ground ball hit firm. Correa moves well to his left. Nice easy flip and a casual turn by Jose Altuve to end that inning.
Big Time Bats is
Team stats, trivia, and behind-the-scenes photos. Find us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest on the Astros all season long at ATT Sportsnet SW. TK?
Thank you, Julia. I am a follower. You know who else I'm going to start following is Yuli Gurriel on Instagram. Josh Reddick leads off.
Get a couple of updates.
That guy's saying, hey, Yuli looked good in there. Following along on his phone. Josh up the middle, has a base hit. Josh Reddick, only his 2nd game of the spring, has his first hit of 2018. And that'll be the end of Josh Reddick's day. He will leave for a pinch runner. Alejandro Garcia comes in, and Reddick ends up with a 1-for-3 day. That must be a good feeling, Blummer. Your last at bat of the day, you know you're coming out. You get a knock, and you don't even have to stay out there on the bases.
The best. Shake your manager's hand and head off into the sunset.
Here's Jose Altuve. He's looking to do the same thing. First pitch swinging, pops it up. It's out of play, though, on the third base side.
That's when you start telling everybody in the clubhouse, hey, you're only as good as your last at bat. I got a knock.
Altuve having himself a nice day as well. He and George Springer with a couple of hits apiece. Altuve a single to left his first time up and a single up the middle his last time up. There's a called strike. 0-2. Michael Kahn on the mound for his second inning of work. Altuve rips one into center. What a day for the AL MVP. He goes 3 for 3, hits the ball hard 3 times. He will come out of the game, and that is a nice day of work for Mr. Altuve.
2 strikes are still no panic situations for Jose Altuve, especially when you leave him a pitch up out of the plate like that one. He knows exactly what to do with it. Rifle it back up the middle. And just in case everybody was wondering, yes, Jose Altuve is feeling pretty good again at the dish.
We can ask Jeff Bagwell if he's the reason for Altuve's 3-hit day today.
He better take all the credit.
We're going to hear from Jeff in the next half inning. Baggy's going to join us on headset. Here's Carlos Correa with 2 runners on. Correa with an RBI infield hit his last time up. And a breaking ball slips out of Kahn's hand and sends Correa to the deck.
Never fun when you have a pitch coming right at your skull. See the panic set in. Hey! Crisis averted.
Nick Tanielu taking over for Altuve at first. There's a breaking ball and a better one from Kahn. It's 1-1.
That's one way to set up the second pitch curveball, is to throw the brutal one before, scare him half to death, and then snap one off for a strike. Heads up,
Kahn,
Julia.
Yeah, Kahn grimaced after that pitch. He has been coming back from an injury. Last year, he came back from rotator cuff surgery and had limited time after missing all the 2016 season.
She's okay.
I'm good.
That ball was fouled into the Astros dugout, and you could tell Kahn's in a lot of pain, and he is going to leave this game. That's unfortunate. No. Oh, Michael Kahn, who's had to deal with return from injury for the last couple of years, leaves this game, and we'll have more after this.
Okay, Texas, it's 4.
Minnesota when the Astros had one of the greatest comebacks you will ever see.
Yeah, it's time to play, and Toyota's going to present it to you. It took a little while for these guys to get going, but once they got going, it turned into the Memorial Day mauling because they were relentless. There was a key injury to Byron Buxton in center field that shifted around the outfield a little bit. Todd and I were enjoying some mini donuts, a whole bucket of them, and little did we know, for every donut we ate, they were going to score a run. So it was a pretty healthy dose of donuts and runs. Everybody contributing, finding holes. But this is what that offense does. This is what the Astro offense really turned the corner and started to light things up. One guy to the next did not want to be that weak link, and that's where that injury to Byron Buxton came in, is when Reddick dropped that ball in front of Rosario in center field. He was unable to make that play, and then the floodgates absolutely opened up. Carlos Beltran adding to that Hall of Fame career number total with another home run to right field. But absolute joy in that dugout when they put up and came back from the biggest comeback, I think, in Astros history.
They were down 8-2 going into the 8th inning. They scored 11 in that top half of the 8th inning. George Springer was at the plate in the middle of that rally, and they put the tarp on the field.
He was not happy about it either. He was very upset.
The Astros were hoping the momentum would not be lost. Springer would continue with the rally, and they would not only score 11 in the 8th, they would add 3 more in the 9th to win 16-8 after being down in the game 8-2 going into the 8th. That was a day, Julia, that A.J. Hinch wasn't feeling very well. He was going back and forth between the dugout and the clubhouse.
Yeah, he was in serious trouble. I know that he was having issues. His stomach was upset. He was going from the clubhouse back to the bench, back to the clubhouse. So he didn't enjoy it as much as everybody else did, but we had a good time watching that and calling that game.
What do you remember most, Julie, about that day?
Well, I was going to say, if there was ever a game that you wanted to hear the post-game comments from the manager, it was that one, and he wasn't available. Just nuts. You know, I got stuck behind the on-deck circle for that inning, and so I watched it all unfold, and the guys just kind of losing their minds with it, with every run that came across, and then, of course, the rain delay and how angry they were when that happened. I remember Springer being like, what the heck is going on? Josh Reddick was yelling things in the dugout, thinking that the umps were behind this and trying to ruin their momentum. And they didn't slow down. I mean, they came right back out and, of course, put up some more runs. But that was incredible. I'll never forget that game.
No, never.
Was that the same game that Springer hit that monster home run, or was that
that was later in the series?
That was later in this. What a series! Really, the time in Minnesota was good, especially with the mini donuts.
That was courtesy of you.
Yes. No, Julia always hooks us up.
It was a gift. I don't know if they were still warm by the time I got to you
they
guys,
were good.
It didn't matter to me.
It's a long walk out there.
That series, the final scores of the 3 games were 16-8, 7-2, and 17-6. And 27 runs were scored against the Twins bullpen.
Well, I was just going to try and add on. I'm glad you had the specific number because they absolutely pummeled that bullpen.
And George in that final game hit one that was a loud, towering shot to left center field that still would be traveling if the target field stands and get in the way.
Actually got pretty good starting pitching from Irvin Santana and Barrios in that series.
Yep, good
but
memory.
Once they got to the bullpen, it was
game on.
Just batting practice.
Well, unfortunate that Michael Kahn had to leave the game as he's been dealing with injuries the last couple of seasons, and Nick Anderson has come on out of the bullpen for the Twins. He struck out Correa, first batter he faced, and now he gets Marwin Gonzalez to send a fly ball in the left field. Robbie Grossman puts it away for out number 2. So all these guys getting their final at bats of the day. Marwin finishes with 3 flyouts to left. The first 2 were deep on the warning track. That one a little more on the routine variety.
I wonder if it's changed a little bit in spring training for these guys. I remember our spring trainings, if somebody came out of that bullpen and didn't have a name on their back of their jerseys, you couldn't run over to the hitting coach and say, hey, what do you got on this guy? They probably do have information on Nick Anderson. But back in the day, you look in that dugout and go, did anybody face this guy in the minor leagues? You got anything for me? Because sometimes you go up there just blind trying to face some of these guys in spring training.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, the information has improved over the years where, as you see the no-name 94 of Nick Anderson. But you're right. There's a book on pretty much everybody now. But back in the day, Just kind of get up there and hope.
Yeah, just sit on one pitch and hope you get it in the zone.
Anderson's 27. Grew up in Brainerd, Minnesota, so playing for the team that he watched growing up as he misses inside to Bregman. It's 2-1. Alex hit a home run his last time up. He has a couple of runners on right now. He's got Garcia on first, and he's got Tanielu on first. Garcia on second and Tanielu on first. Alex made it a 2-2 game with his first spring home run, hitting one out to left field. Line drive caught by the shortstop for the final out of the inning. Hills hit hard, but right at Eric Ibar. That'll do it for the Astros in the fifth, still tied at 2. Game. We head into the sixth inning. Astros and Twins knotted up at the 15 ballpark of the Palm Beaches. We are thrilled to have the Hall of Famer Jeff Bagwell join us here. He just got into camp today. How's everything going?
Good. I almost broke a sweat today, so I'm not real happy about that.
When was the last time you did that?
A long time ago.
AJ said he got you right to work on the half field out there, huh?
We did. We had to work with the first basemen a little bit. Got some work in and watch the kids take ground ball, kind of a little eye wash, but it works out good for them. They got their footwork done and looking good so far.
Talk a little bit about that. A lot of people, I always felt moving around the infield, first base was tough to play. Talk a little bit about how important that footwork is at first.
Well, it is. You know, the most important thing, I mean, it sounds kind of weird. You're just trying to find where the baseball's coming from. But, you know, I try and tell the kids to, you know, just be comfortable. It's fun over there. Don't act like you're out of position, kind of, if you can. You know, just get your feet moving, you know, bend your knees a little bit, enjoy the time over there, and, you know, you just got to shuffle with the ball, basically. And, you know, the most important thing, which sounds kind of crazy, is just don't drop the ball. That's when you look bad. It's hard to make excuses on that one.
Just a coincidence, or Altuve waits for you to get here and goes 3 for 3 today?
He's unbelievable. He's the first one I talked to when we got in here. He had me going looking at tape. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. The kid hit 368, 350, whatever he hit, 346 last year, and having me check out his swing. But he's amazing. He's a pleasure to watch.
Maybe you cut 368 because that was your number.
Yeah,
so
they brought that up today. I guess that's where it came from. I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, liar.
I promise you, Blummy. You know I was.
No, that was an excellent setup. You got a career in TV if you want it now. So in spring training, how you get to address the team. Have you ever done that before, and what did you say today?
No, I was just telling them, you know, what they did last year obviously was very, very special. But, you know, coming in this year, you know, being young and, you know, that part is over. And, you know, we have an opportunity with this ball club to be even better this year. I mean, I don't know how you can be better than winning the World Series, but we certainly have a great club, and each individual can get better for our ball club so that down the road we can continue to be the organization that we are right now. They have to have a little bit of presence about them. I remember years ago, the Yankees came into town when we were up in Kissimmee, and I was just like, man, that's the Yankees. You know, and you can go player by player, whether you're better than them or they're better than you or whatever it is. But when you saw the Yankees, you were like, damn, there they are. But that's what the Astros are now. When we walk on the field, we know that we're a better team than the other team. And if we can walk around like that, we got a good shot.
I think it's a good idea, the mentality, but also you played on a National League Central team that won 98, 99, and 2000. And you guys had the target on your back in that National League Central. Talk about what it's like to be able to go back and repeat as a division winner, knowing that everybody's aiming for you.
Well, it's great because it just, you know, it keeps you engaged. You know, all you're doing every single night is finding a way to win. And, you know, personal statistics will take care of themselves during the course of a year, but going out and pulling for your teammates, doing the right things in order for you to win every day, being in pennant races and finally winning, obviously is wonderful. But for me, you know, I've done a lot of things personally in this game, but I've never won a World Series. And to watch what those guys did last year, that was just, I mean, a tremendous amount of jealousy and a tremendous amount of just pure happiness for the city and for the kids, because such a great bunch of kids over here. The organization's done a tremendous job, and I just couldn't be more proud of them.
I know you got to enjoy some games on TV. We appreciate the support with the ratings last year. I know you were a big fan of this team, and now you said this team could be even better in 2018. It's been since the 2000 season. The Yankees won 98, 99, 2000. Since anybody's gone back to back, is it more difficult these days, do you think, to maybe win back-to-back titles?
Well, I think it is. I mean, I don't know what you're seeing. You know, they talk about super teams and all that kind of stuff in all the sports right now, but you know, to come back-to-back and, you know, every team's trying to reload, it makes it difficult. And you got to go the entire year with your injuries and good years and bad years by players. But, you know, they've done such a great job on this organization, Jeff, you know, and getting guys here that we have such great depth on this team that we have a chance, even if we do get hurt, that we can manage through those times. You know, and I don't know if we're going to win 112 games. What is the record? Something like that. The Yankees won that one year. I'm not sure what it was. But I certainly believe that we can get better in all facets and hopefully make another run at this thing.
It's a good thing you did so well in the regular season and earned the honor to be a Hall of Famer during the regular season, because I think if they actually had to incorporate spring stats, it might have changed some minds.
I only had one good year, that was 91.
And why was it? I want people at home to understand, you know, was that your first big league spring training?
It was. I had no idea what I was doing. I got here, I was supposed to be the third baseman taking over for Ken Caminiti. Cammy went like 10 for 14 his first 3 games, and my dad said, well, AAA's not so bad. And then somehow the 2 first basemen didn't do that well, and with 10 days left in spring training, they moved me over to first base, and then I got to play. But I was just having fun, and I got lucky, to be honest. And that's what has to happen when you're a kid. You have to be in this situation and get some breaks, and that's what happened to me, and I was very fortunate.
What was your main focus in the spring once you got comfortable? Just trying to get comfortable?
Yeah, probably. To be honest with you, just the last probably 2 weeks I took it serious. Took extra BP to try and get ready, because if I just grinded all the time with my swing, I was going to be in big trouble.
Hold on. You took the game serious, yes, but when you just said you took extra batting practice,
I did.
That's another thing. Your batting practice in the regular season. Because let me take you back to 2002. I got traded in the spring of 2002 from Montreal to the Houston Astros, and I show up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm next to Jeff Bagwell, Biggio, and these guys.
What a letdown.
It was.
I know.
I sat there and I think I might have asked Brad Osmus. I said, "Is this guy for real? Is this his big league swing right here?"
Yeah, no, not really.
Their batting practices were terrible.
They didn't put that on the back of the baseball card, so I wasn't really worried about that one too much. But I was terrible, and I fully admit that I was just awful.
But it was great when you started the game. Obviously, you put together great at bats, the high on base percentages, the running the bases. Did you ever take, those spring training at bats with runners in scoring position to kind of simulate what you were going to do during the regular season to drive in runs?
Yeah, I did. I think, when those situations come, everything changes for you as a hitter. And, probably to a fault. I should always probably take the at-bat like that even when there's nobody on. But I think there's a heightened sense when guys are in scoring position. And I wish I had done that more often. But I did do that. I even did that even on the golf course, trying to you know, make a 3-footer for something, you know, just to get your nerves right and do the right things. Didn't always make it, just like I didn't always get a hit, but those are situations that you try and grind out when you get the situation that comes up in a spring training game or a big league game.
Buddy Boshier is pitching against his former team as a member of the Astros, allowing a base hit, and also Eric Ibar reaching on an error, first and second, nobody out.
Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to get in the way of the game here.
No, this is perfect. Jeff Bagwell, the Hall of Famer, joining us from the dugout. Baggy, just the joy of being a fan for that team, and Blummer and I got a chance to be fans in the postseason as well, but for you to share that and some of those great moments with your buddy Craig Biggio, and that had to be kind of special for you guys.
No, it was. You know, it goes along, you know, with, you know, Craig and I playing, you know, for me playing 15 years and Craig playing 20 here, to see the organization, the way it's come around full circle. You know, it was great in the 80s, and then, you know, in the end of the 90s we got good, in the beginning of the 2000 had some tough times, and then to watch it, you know, since Jim's taken over and all the great things that Jeff and AJ and this coaching staff and the players have done, just to watch it come around, watch the city come behind this team, you know, with Harvey and all the stuff that happened. It was just a pleasure to be a Houstonian and to watch these guys and watch the city just enjoy every single thing that these guys were doing every day, and it was a lot of fun. I'm very proud of them.
No, you are a Houstonian. The second you put on that uniform, you moved in, and you've been there ever since. And you've had a chance to see this city go through a couple of championships with the Houston Rockets. You had a chance to see them win the National League Central with you and Biggio. But I think you really hit on a key point, and you can speak to it, what it actually meant to the city. It was amazing to me to see the connection between the baseball team and the city of Houston.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, everywhere you go, you see Astros paraphernalia. I mean, it's wonderful just to see people, just, you know, kids to, you know, senior citizens. Everybody's got Astros gear on, and, you know, just the fun we had was such a bad time, like you said, and with Harvey and all the devastation, and, you know, it's something for people to cheer about, you know, and that was great. And, you know, we really needed it as a city. We needed it as an organization, and, you know, it's just it's fun to be in Houston right now. The Rockets are playing well too, so things are going well.
Astros with a bases loaded situation. The Twins have nobody out. Jeff Bagwell joins us from the dugout in this 2-2 game. Baggy, 2017 will be a year that can never be duplicated for a lot of reasons, obviously for the team and for you personally in the Hall of Fame season. After a lot of attention bestowed upon you in 2017, are you looking forward to being more of a normal citizen in 2018?
Yeah, I am. I got real tired of myself real quick last year. I had to go to the ballpark all the time and get on the field. I'm not a real fan of that. So I'm glad that the Astros did me a favor and took it all off of me, which was great. But things don't change that much around my house. I got 5 kids, teenage girls, so
yeah,
nothing has changed there.
I feel you on that. We're both going to be busy for a very long time.
Yes, we are.
Now, when things actually do settle down at night at the Bagwell house, do you put on the Hall of Fame jacket, go out in the back and have a cigar?
I do all the time.
I love it. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, I put that on.
Enjoy that thing.
Take out my little plaque and show
Sit
the kids.
next to it.
Yeah. Like, get out of here, Dad. Don't even try that with us.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the fact.
You got $20?
I love the crowd that gathered around you when you were over by AJ today. The guys want to chat you up a little bit. I think Jake was with you for a while. I saw you and Alex having a nice discussion.
No, it's all good. These guys have had the best offseason ever. You know, they're like, well, it was a quick offseason. I said, yeah, well, would you rather have the World Series or a longer offseason? So they've had a bunch of fun. And like I said, these kids are good kids, man. I don't have one thing bad to say about anybody, not just because I'm talking on the radio right now, or excuse me, TV, but you know, they're good kids, and I'm just happy for them, and I enjoy talking to them.
It's good. Do they have an appreciation for you and Craig Biggio, Nolan Ryan?
Absolutely not.
No.
Probably
they
Nolan. Nolan
they
for sure.
They're just asking for critique on their swings and what they could do, instead of going, man, you had a really good career. What was it like?
Yeah, I keep showing them all my strikeouts to make themselves feel better, but you know,
can
Nolan
punch out this many times and be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, 3 years of punching out, you can get in the Hall of Fame. That's great. But no, Nolan's probably, he's the king of everything. He's a little bit more special.
Yeah, he is pretty special and very humble, much like you. Is there anybody that you played against or with during your career that compares to a guy like Jose Altuve going out there and getting 200-plus hits a year?
You know, Tony Gwynn is a little bit like Jose. Like, you know, today he took a swing and he swung and missed and, you know, said something in Spanish, and then Next thing you know, he rolls one up the middle, a 90 hopper that gets right through the middle for a base hit. I mean, it's just what he does. Tony did the same thing. He always found a way to get a hit. You get 8 guys diving for the ball, and the 9th guy in the outfield picked it up. So that's what he does, and he can do it with power too. He's just an amazing hitter, amazing kid. I'm glad to get a chance to watch him play every day.
The thing that, to me, and you can speak on this, is his ability to, like you mentioned, Gwynn. Altuve's ability to not always make hard contact and still find a way to get.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And as a hitter, you know, Jeff knows too. I mean, it's the most frustrating thing in the world to watch. Yeah, you're happy. Be like, man, can I just get a couple of those balls?
Please throw a couple my way.
And never mind the infield hits where he beats it out with his legs too. I mean, it's nonstop.
Yeah, that's a nice thing.
Yep. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, you only had speed once you got on first.
I don't know if I had that either. Deception, we look at it.
When you look back at last year, and Baggy, and I want to take you back at least for a moment to Cooperstown. Everything you hope for going into that, I know there's a lot of build-up prior to that weekend, but everything you hope for at that?
Yeah, it's a little strange. It's surreal. I've used that word a lot, that you just, I mean, you're with these guys, man, that you see on TV, and, you know, now you're hanging out with them. You're in a room by yourself with all these guys, and you have no idea what the heck you're doing there. And just to interact with them and see how they become normal human beings instead of being just, you know, these guys you see on TV. So it was very cool. It was a lot of work for my family and my wife, but it was wonderful.
Was there anybody in particular you were looking forward to meeting or seeing or talking to?
You know, I've been fortunate to meet a lot of those guys in the past. But, you know, I always get a little nervous around George Brett for some reason. He just quantifies what it means to be a baseball player to me. And then, of course, you see Hank Aaron and Joe Morgan. Johnny Bench is awesome. And, I mean, all the guys. Bob Gibson was great. You know, everybody there was just, it was a joy to be around.
You get to play that golf course?
I did not. I haven't played golf in a while, but I did not play. Well, maybe this year.
We have a pitching change, but we're going to stay here and talk to Baggy a little bit.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Baggy, towards the end of your career with that shoulder injury, I know, you know, it's tough. It's almost tougher sometimes to get ready to get on the field than it is to actually play the game. At what point after you retired did you start falling back in love and wanting to watch baseball again and really starting to enjoy it?
Yeah, but I mean, it probably took a little bit. You know, I honestly, I remember like the first year that I wasn't playing, I was standing in my dining room at about 2:30 in the afternoon going, okay, what now? I was supposed to be at the ballpark and all that. I didn't have anything. And, you know, I grinded for those last 3.5 years on my shoulder trying to get out there every day. And, you know, it was work. I mean, it was fun because we were winning a little bit, and that was cool. But to actually get out there and the amount of pain that I was in and, you know, the stretching and the painkillers and all that kind of stuff, it made it tough. But, you know, and then, you know, the team wasn't doing that well, and that's probably my fault as far as not being that close to it and all that. But I did the best I could. And then, you know, I got my shoulder redone. I got a brand new shoulder in there, so my pain's gone. And enjoying life. My life's back in good orders, and I'm happy, and I'm happy to be here with these kids, and, you know, things are going well.
We're so happy to have you on our broadcast. How long are you going to be in town for?
I'll be here till Saturday, but I think I'll come back after they go to Washington.
You know, I've been on teams in the past that bring back some veteran guys who have retired, but they call them fun coaches. What's your label here in camp?
I think I might be the guy that they say, oh, there he is. I've heard stories about him.
If they need any more, tell them to look me up.
I know, I understand that very well.
Yeah, I mean, we would love to hear the off-air version of this conversation with you and Blummer. I'm sure there's a lot of.
Well, you know what's great about Baggy? We talk about all the on-field accolades and things like that, but one of the things I learned when I came over, I was still a young kid. I was in my 3rd year in the big leagues when I got traded over, and it was from Montreal. We were a bunch of kids anyways. But this was really my first opportunity with a bunch of, you know, established all-star veterans. It's what Jeff Bagwell did away from the field with guys on the team. And I learned early on that Jeff Bagwell knew every clubhouse manager's name in every city we went to. He tipped everybody extremely well. if you knew you were in the inner circle and you were appreciated by Jeff Bagwell, he would invite you out to have a bite to eat every once in a while. So that was a lot of things I learned about, and that's a lot of things we've heard about this 2017 team. But where was that instilled in you, Jeff, to be that guy off the field, to really try and bring guys together and be a little more communal about participating off the field with guys around you?
Well, I mean, I think early, you realize that, you spend a lot of time with these guys. I mean, your teammates and your coaches and stuff, you're with them for like 8 months, man. You see them more than you see your family. But I think partly with me, when I first came over here, when I got traded from the Red Sox, Ken Caminiti, I was supposed to take his job. And he's the one that ended up taking me underneath his wing and showing me around and going to lift weights with him and do all kinds of stuff when I was supposed to take his job. And, little stuff like going out with the guys afterwards, when you're a rookie and you're going to go try and pay for a beer, and he's like, come on, man, you're not paying for anything. And that's the way it is. And then you go try and pay, and he goes, okay, let me get a change for 100. So I give him 100, and he gives the waitress the entire 100. And you're like, what is that? You just learn how to do that and take care of guys. And, guys in the clubhouse are just as important to me as anybody else. They do a lot of work for us that people don't see, and sometimes the players forget. And, they're human beings, and they have jobs. And, I enjoy people. I enjoy the different personalities that each and every teammate has. And I think it makes a clubhouse nice for when you can get everybody to be on the same page and play the same way. And then, you do your stuff in the dugout. These guys, they seem to love each other here, man. They have fun. You go by the dugout, the locker room, and you hear the music playing and all that. They have a great time with each other, and I think that's real important. I know a lot of times people say that that's overrated, but I don't think it is.
I'm glad you asked that, Blummer, about the clubhouse guys. Baggy, one of the few guys that mentioned them in his speech. And for you, Blummer, after you mentioned the young team in Montreal, was that one of your cool moments early when you got the first Bagwell invite to dinner?
Oh, absolutely. It took a while, too.
It took a while.
Well, he came over you remember he got here when he had red hair.
Well, I was just going to say, if you asked Baggy what he thought of me the first time, he was probably wondering, who is this
guy?
kook?
He had red hair coming from Montreal.
Yeah, I had some internal issues. I got those straightened out. But the funny thing for me was, it was one thing to get traded into this camp. It's when we broke camp and I made the team and we go to Houston and I find my parking spot. Keep in mind, I'm driving like a beat-up Toyota Tundra at the time. And it's Brad Ausmus, Brian Hunter, Jeff Bagwell, Craig Biggio, and I was just like, really? I was wondering if the front office was trying to send me a message. I got to step my car game up. But it was a learning experience all the way around, because those guys were true professionals and a lot of fun to be around.
Yeah, we had a good time. We really did. And I tell people that, and a lot of people don't understand. I really, man, I enjoyed everybody's different personalities, but guys from different countries and all that. That's what made it fun. I mean, if we were all the same, that'd be boring. So I really enjoyed that. And Blummy came over, like I said, he had red hair. He said he couldn't hit right-handed. He could only hit left-handed. Couldn't hit a changeup. Only the hardest fastball you could throw, you'd hit it.
No, but you bring that's another thing that's kind of a lost art, and I saw it towards the end of my career, is after games there would be a certain group of guys that would kind of like linger in the clubhouse and watch games on the West Coast. We're being in the Central Time Zone, we would be able to watch the end of some of these West Coast games, and it would be the same guys over and over again. And I was near Bagwell and Brad Ausmus and Brian Hunter and some of these guys, and for the first 2 months I would just get dressed, walk away. But there was one day, it was maybe at the end of May, early June, and Baggy actually said, he goes, hey, why don't you sit down, hang out for a little bit. And everybody talks about that moment you realize you arrived in the big leagues. That was my arrival in the big leagues, when Jeff Bagwell asked me to sit down next to him and watch some baseball and talk about the game we just played. And that meant a lot to me. And I don't know if I've ever told that to you, but it meant a lot to me to be able to sit there and talk with you guys about the game. It meant a lot to me, and I've learned a ton.
Yeah, well, that's fun. That's when you do learn. That's when you get to make fun of each other. Nobody gets really that upset with each other.
Yep.
And you do learn. You say, what were you thinking about in this situation? Or what was he thinking about? And, well, we need to talk to this guy tomorrow. Just little things like that, just bonding time with each other. And, it's better to be there than being out and get in trouble somewhere else.
David Paulino walking a batter with the bases loaded, giving the 23-2 lead. We can let you go here, Baggy. We really appreciate the time.
My seeds are getting caught in my mouth.
Hey, what a great trip down memory lane, and again, congrats on all the accolades that you deserve in 2017. And we're so glad you came on with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure. I'll see you around.
Take care.
Peace.
Jeff Bagwell coming on with us in the 6th inning. It's not been the prettiest of innings for the Astros pitching, as we have seen Buddy Boshears go against his former team and allow a base hit. Also committed an error in there. Not sure if they gave that error to Boshears or the shortstop Mayfield. Mitch Garver walked after a pop-up for the first out. David Paulino came on and walked to the first batter he faced. So that's where we are now. Bases loaded, 3-2 Twins. And always great, Plummer, listening to you guys talk about some of your times together.
No, he had a huge impact on my career. I give him a lot of credit, but enabling him to get on TV and talk about it hopefully gives that impression to everybody else at home, because I know there's generations that watched Jeff Bagwell play the game and play it right. Now we're getting a chance to see him a little more personality-wise, which I think a lot of people need to see. It's great.
And when he says he watched a lot of games, he watched a lot of games last
year. He really did, yeah. He finally got a hold of my phone number, and there were a ton of games in the last 3 or 4 years where I've gotten texts from Jeff Bagwell saying either how much he likes what these guys are doing or how much he hates what I just said.
1-2 pitch is popped high in the air with the wind blowing in from right. This will drift towards the infield. And finally, Garcia calls off the infielder Tanielo, and no runners can advance. So Paulino gets a pop-up for the second out with the bases loaded. We love having the extra time with Baggy, but this half inning has been a long one for the Astros.
Yeah, it's been extensive. Thankfully, we had Jeff Bagwell to kind of mask over what exactly is going on, but the walks piling up is not something that A.J. Hinch wants to see. Error and a couple of walks in this inning.
Boshears tried to make a play on a force out, and the throw got past Jack Mayfield that allowed this inning to extend. It's the third error for the Astros today. Here's Robbie Grossman, the former Astro, batting for the 4th time. A couple of ground outs and a strikeout. Paulino misses away. It's 1-0. Lance McCullers Jr. started this game 2 shutout innings. Joe Smith, a couple of unearned runs in his 1 inning of work. Framber Valdez with 2 innings. Ended up getting a double play to get out of the situation in the 5th. 6th inning was started by Buddy Boshears. He pitched to 4 batters, 3 reached base, and now David Paulino coming on. Paulino, a big right-hander, suspended for 80 games of the season last year for the Astros. Ended up having some bone spurs removed at the end of the year, so the Astros did not see him at any point in the second half of the season. 1-1 pitch backs Grossman off the plate. It's 2-1.
Hasn't been a pretty inning, but you actually have an opportunity to limit the damage here. 1 run already in. But they would like to sneak out of here, only allowing that 1 run.
Three and 1. Paulino did make a half dozen starts for the Astros last year in the midst of the injuries to the starting rotation. And that misses close, but Lance Barksdale said it missed the zone, so the second bases loaded walk of the inning. And the 3rd overall walk. It's now 4-2 Twins as Grossman. It's an RBI. Paulino's very first start came against the Twins last year. Pitched in a game at Target Field against Minnesota. Ended up pitching against the Royals, the Angels, the Red Sox, and a couple of games against the A's. Now facing Eduardo Escobar, called strike. Paulino pitched the final game of that 3-game series. We mentioned the Astros putting a number on the Twins bullpen in that 3-game set. 17-6 the final score of the game. Paulino started in Minnesota. He's able to get out of the inning, but 2-run score on a couple of bases loaded walks, and we are through 5.5 with the score Minnesota 4 and the Astros 2. On AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Rooms to Go, where you get great furniture prices every day and delivery is fast and easy. Bottom half of the 6th inning, Astros down 2 runs again. They trailed 2-0, tied it at 2, and now they are down 4-2 on a couple of unearned runs and a couple of bases loaded walks. Brian McCann will lead things off for the Astros here in the bottom half of the 6th. Astros began the Grapefruit League season in 2018 on Friday of last week. They are playing their 7th game. They had one split squad game, and that was where they suffered their lone loss, coming in at 5-1. But of the games that we have televised, and you saw the road game yesterday, Blummer, that you worked on the radio, this one's probably the sloppiest that they've been all spring long. 3 errors, a couple bases loaded walks.
And you're kind of heading into that danger zone of spring training where the newness is starting to wear off a little bit. These guys are getting into the mode and starting to get into a little more of a routine. But the middle part of spring training has got to be the toughest.
And it's crazy to think about it being just February 28th right now, and we're
not even in March yet.
Yeah, we're not even in March. Nationals had some fun today in the middle of their work week.
Yeah, it's the middle of the work week, typically known as Hump Day, and they had a couple of camels bringing some coaches in from the parking lot. So why not mix it up if we got a little bit of a dead zone part of spring? Spice it up.
Ground ball off the bat of Brian McCann, and he is retired for the first out. And that's probably McCann's final AB, as all the regulars got 3 ABs today. McCann ends up going 0 for 2 with a walk. Some of the regulars still in there. Now, actually, most of the Twins have now been lifted from the game. As you look at Ryan Presley, the new arm out of the Twins bullpen.
Throws pretty hard. Sorry, he's got a fastball. He can get up to 95, 96 miles an hour.
The only reason I jumped on you is because I was going to say I'll look at it.
Yeah, you will look at it.
Yeah, because
I'm a little out of whack right now. Extended inning, even I'm getting a little sloppy.
Presley was a little out of whack trying to catch that throw from his catcher. That was a wide throw. New catcher is Brian Navarreto. Twins have made a bunch of changes. We'll get to those as we move along here. As Jamie Ritchie gets his first at bat. Ritchie came on for the starter Tim Fedorovich last inning. Ritchie, 24-year-old out of Belmont University. And he goes down with Presley on 3 pitches. Ryan Presley picking up his first strikeout, 2 outs in the inning. Lone member of the starting lineup to stay in this game is A.J. Reed. Reed will bat for the 3rd time. Again, McCann's still technically in there, but we think that was his last at bat after grounding out. Reed is struck out and fly to right. Eight hits for the Astros today. George Springer had 2. Jose Altuve had 3. Josh Reddick added a base hit. Carlos Correa had an RBI infield hit. Alex Bregman a solo home run. Marwin Gonzalez hit the ball to left field 3 times. The first 2 times were on the warning track. Just missed a couple of home runs. Reed down on the count 1-2. Presley's pitched for the Twins each of the last 5 seasons. Last year, 57 games all out of the bullpen for the Twins. Breaking ball and a beauty. Freezes A.J. Reed. Ryan Presley impressive in his 1-2-3 bottom half of the 6th inning. We head to the 7th and it's 4-2 Twins.
Astros mini plans are on sale now. Pick the games and seats that work best for you with a 15-game flex plan, or get the best giveaways with the 10-game bobblehead plan. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com/mini plans to get yours today. Todd.
All right, Julia, we head to the 7th inning. Twins leading the Astros 4-2. David Paulino stays out there. Came on in the 6th inning. Hey, Jen Springs in the house.
How about that?
The Jen Springs sighting. Does a great job in the HR department for the Astros. Julia.
Hey.
What's the latest buzz, I guess, in the dugout with Yuli Gurriel and the hamate bone injury?
Well, we've talked a lot about it, and I should start by saying, you know, Jeff Luhnow talked to the media, and he did say minor setback, and guys are talking about this surgery as if it's not that big of a deal, because it is common in baseball, and it's a piece of the bone that you can live without, the nub, the hook of that hamate bone, and so many guys have had this surgery done, and it's just a matter of getting your strength back and feeling good, like if your hand was going to get knocked around a little bit. So it's more annoying than anything, is what the guys are saying. You know, Max Stassi just had this 2 seasons ago, missed most of spring training with the same exact surgery, and then Derek Fisher had it done in college, and they were comparing scars in the dugout of what they look like, and it's just right across your palm. It goes along the crease of your hand that you see already on your hand, and so they were comparing. I think Derek said his was more. I think he used Harry Potter to describe the wizardry. I just made that up. Of his, it looked like a lightning bolt. So you're going to show us.
I am. I'm actually on. I believe I'm on camera now.
You are.
I'm on camera, and I'm kind of pointing to that hamate bone. You'll see Todd hanging out in the background. But the interesting thing about that hamate bone, she's right. There's a hook under there, and some guys will hold the bat just like this. They will be on the knob. You'll hear about some guys hitting off the knob, and that means that they grab the bat handle a little bit lower, and they'll have a pinky off the knob, and that's where sometimes you have the issue, because it will force that knob into that hamate bone, and as a hitter comes through and rolls through, that knob will force itself into that hamate bone, rub on it, and it is kind of like a hook. Wow, how about that?
Tony Kemp goes flying through the air for the second brilliant catch of the spring as he robs Nick Buss. That was better than his first great catch this spring.
He has been all over the place. I know it's been struggling. He's been struggling at the plate, but it's not letting it affect him on defense. We'll put the hamate on hold because Tony Kemp just elevated to celebrate in a different kind of way. He got well off the ground to make that grab to pick up Paulino.
Ow.
That was impressive.
Full extension. Guy that normally plays in the infield too.
Man, oh man, it's nice to be athletic. But that hamate bone, when you start to go down off the knob and the rotation through the swing, and the knob of the bat will start to press on that hamate bone, and what happens is it'll catch, eventually pop. It is a common injury. Guys come back from, there's not much of a rehab other than trying to get a bat back in the guy's hand and get that swing going and starting to feel the impact. But it's a nature of the beast. It's a nature of what they do. But I know a lot of fans at home that watch the Houston Astros know that there is an axe handle bat. The reason for the axe handle bat is because of the hamate injuries. It really takes a lot of the pressure off that hamate bone when they start to roll through the zone after contact.
And the hamate bone is a lot. You said common, and it doesn't.
It's useless.
Without it, you're going to be the exact same as with it.
Yeah, yeah. Now that doesn't mean if you're a parent of a 5-year-old baseball player, you go have it removed.
No.
You just let it play out. It's nothing to really be too worried about. Yuli will come back plenty fine enough.
Line drive to end the inning. Great defensive play by Tony Kemp for the second out of the inning, and the Astros with a 1-2-3-7. It is time now to send it back to our rooms to go lounge as it's 7th inning stretch time, and we'll join Kevin Eschenfelder and Mike Stanton.
All right, thank you very much, TK. He's Mike Stanton. I'm Kevin Eschenfelder. As we welcome you into the Rooms to Go lounge. I guess the story of the day, other than the injury to Yuli Gurriel, is the fact that Lance McCullers makes his first appearance in the
Watch the Astros than ever before. Download the AT&T Sportsnet app from iTunes or Google Play, or go to attsportsnet.com to stream from your computer. Log in with your cable account information and you're all set. It's available to customers whose TV subscription includes AT&T Sportsnet. Subject to blackouts and territorial restrictions apply. TK?
All right, Julia, 7th inning stretch time here at the Fit Team ballpark of the Palm Beaches. Twins go to a new pitcher. The right-hander Fernando Romero takes over.
23-year-old right-hander. He's pretty well built, 6 foot, 215 pounds. Fastball, slider, changeup. Command is the issue a lot of times with these young guys. Romero looking to dial it in here against the Astros.
So Drew Ferguson will lead things off. It'll be Ferguson, Alejandro Garcia, and Nick Tanielu. As the Astros at the top of their order. What a play by Tony Kemp in the top half of the 7th. We're in the midst of Blummer's demonstration on the hamate bone injury, and Kemp made a phenomenal play left. By the way, the hamate bone, as you described, always on the knob, so it's always going to be the bottom hand.
Yeah, it's on the bottom. It's on the bottom part of both hands. Yeah, whether you switch hit, yeah, you could break both of them if you had it on each hand. If you switch hit, yes.
It is a fairly common injury, and then we mentioned, you know, Ken Griffey Jr., one of the guys that had it. Most recently, Giancarlo Stanton, Darren Erstad. Bobby Abreu, when Jeff Bagwell was his teammate, he missed about 37 games. That's about 5.5 weeks. So 5.5, 6 weeks roughly would be the time frame we're looking at. And since Yuli had the surgery today, final day of February, means we're looking at maybe mid-April, just to be on a rough gauge. So it's not going to be.
Well, I'm not sure if AJ said it in any of the meetings, but if you're a manager and this happens, you're not thankful that the injury happened, but you're thankful it happened on February 28th.
Yep. Absolutely.
March 28th, that pushes you deeper into the season.
I think we'll see Yuli very quickly. Originally, he was going to miss 5 games for the suspension. He will still have to serve the suspension. And now he'll more than likely start the year on the DL, and hopefully after a couple of weeks into the season, we'll see Yuli Gurriel back. And AJ wanted him to get some reps, and we heard from AJ earlier, wanted him to get some reps at some different positions this spring, and now he'll have to do that as part of his minor league rehab. After a leadoff walk to Ferguson, Alejandro Garcia grounds one to second, and the Twins are going to turn 2. And Romero gets the benefit of a double play behind him to clear the bases, and there's 2 outs in the 7th inning.
Yeah, it's just going to be a matter of them correcting him with that surgery like they did today, and then waiting for that wound to heal. And I'm not sure what the rehab process will be after that. I'm sure they've evaluated it, but he can still go out and take ground balls, keep his legs in shape, stay in the gym, one-arm drills. These guys stay pretty active, and they have good programs for them while they're trying to come back from these injuries.
And he seemed in good spirits on his Instagram picture.
Yeah, much to the delight of AJ Hinch. That's the modern day ball player, isn't it? You're a manager and you're just watching, each guy's social media feed to see what's going on. Normally teams like to get out ahead of those things a little bit.
Tanielu pops one down the left field line, long run, and a good play by the shortstop to end the inning. As putting that ball away for the final out was Taylor Featherston, and that'll do it for the Astros. 1-2-3-7.
Okay, Texas, it's the one and only.
presented by authority of Houston Astros, LLC, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Houston Astros, LLC. Eighth inning baseball. Replica of the World Series championship trophy out there in left field. A lot of fans getting their pictures of that. Another beautiful day in Palm Beach County. This weather has been perfect since we've been down here.
Said the guy who didn't go to the game yesterday.
Because it did not rain in Palm Beach County.
Gosh, man, some of us put in some OT, and we had to really work some OT yesterday with that rainstorm.
It rained in St. Lucie, where you resided. And our big props to Julia Morales also.
She saved our lives out there.
She was out there decades.
Yeah, we had a good hour rain delay to fill, and actually she picked up the radio podcast that they put out. We had a good 25-minute stretch talking Astros baseball between myself, Julia, and Sparky, and that was we were very grateful for that.
There you go. Alex Tagati made that last play. He took over at third base last couple of innings, as David Paulino's back out there, so he'll get some extended work today. Not many pitchers have gone more than 2 innings for the Astros, and Paulino has already worked an inning and 2/3 starting this inning, picked up and out on a pop-up, and now he's ahead of Lamont Wade, 0-2. Paulino last year making his 6 starts with the Astros between May 31st, that final game against the Twins, and June 28th. AJ Reed still playing in this game, makes the flip to Paulino and is handed the ball back. Paulino with the cover. So 2 outs and nobody on. Zach Granite had gone the whole way for Minnesota, but he's going to get pinch hit for here as James Ramsey will hit for him. Paulino picked up his first big league win against the Red Sox in start number 4 of last season. Appeared in 3 games, 2 out of the bullpen, 1 as a starter the year before. Still 24 years old. We mentioned after the suspension that a few guys could potentially pass him while he had to sit out half a year, but he's hoping to kind of regain that status with a good 2018. That breaking ball drops in there. It's 1-1. Fastball, curveball, and changeup from the big 6'7" right-hander. Two and 1 the count. Twins in town today. They will go to Jupiter tomorrow to take on the Cardinals. Boston will be in town tomorrow, and they will follow up the game with the Astros with a trip to Jupiter to take on those same Cardinals. So both the teams from Fort Myers coming over for a couple of days. Paulino ahead 2-2. See Alex Core tomorrow. New manager of the Boston Red Sox, former bench coach for the Astros.
That'll be fun.
He'll be reunited with his team. There is a nice breaking ball for a called 3rd strike. Good hammer curve from David Paulino, and he got better as his outing went along. He retires the last 7 he faces. It's 4-2 Twins. TNT Sportsnet is brought to you by Whataburger. Don't miss the new Mushroom Swiss Burger at Whataburger, available for a limited time. And by Toyota. Let's go places. Bottom half of the 8th inning, Astros down 2. Jack Mayfield will lead things off, facing the right-hander Fernando Romero in his 2nd inning of work. Romero with a walk in the 7th inning, but a double play helped him through, only facing 3 batters. This inning he will face Jack Mayfield, Tony Kemp, and Alex Degatti. Mayfield into center field, and this ball will be caught by the center fielder who just moved out there, James Ramsey, who pinch hit in the top half of the inning. I'll bring up Tony Kemp, who made that great play in left field earlier, getting his first at bat. Kemp takes a called strike. Astros' last hit was a base hit by Jose Altuve in the 5th. Kemp with a grounder to the right side. Play made by Travis Blankenhorn. And there's 2 away. Alex Degatti's going to get an at-bat. Two on, nobody out. Excuse me, 2 out, nobody on. Gotti takes a called strike. Gotti, 23-year-old out of Miami. Tri-City 2 years ago after being drafted in the 15th round, played 63 games, and then last year started in Quad Cities and made it all the way up to Fresno for about 10 days before finishing the year with Bowie's Creek, where he played 70 games. Gotti down on the count 0-2.
It's a good-looking ball player. Plays all over the infield. Another one of those athletic, versatile guys that brings multiple baseball gloves to the field.
He sends one high in the air, and then another 1-2-3 inning as Degatti pops up to second base. Travis Blankenhorn making a couple plays in the inning, and that'll do it for the Astros. We head to the 9th in a 4-2 game.
Big Time Bats is proud.
pitching performance for you, and it's a good one, too. It has to do with Charlie Morton. It's brought to you by Kubota. It was ALCS Game 7. Charlie broke out a little bit of everything. He was great throughout the course of the season, rounding out that rotation for the Houston Astros. He found some extra velocity when he became an Astro, throwing that turbo sinker around 97 to 99 miles an hour in those playoffs. Got better in the World Series, but it was amazing to watch him go out there and pitch so well, locating the fastball and breaking out the breaking ball, the slider, the occasional changeup. But just what an addition to this rotation, and what an addition to the back end of the bullpen in that Game 7 of the World Series.
We will see Charlie Morton tomorrow pitching against the Boston Red Sox. Morton and Lance McCullers flipped roles. Morton started Game 7 of the ALCS, and Lance finished it.
Pretty good piggyback starting mix they had going there in the playoffs.
And the World Series Game 7, Lance would start it, and Charlie Morton would get the final outs to wrap up the Astros' first World Championship. Travis Blankenhorn gets his first at bat, and he will face the new right-hander for the Astros, Matt Ramsey. Blankenhorn hitting in the number 2 spot. Matt Ramsey in his 4th organization. Originally drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays, traded to the Marlins. Was a waiver claim by Milwaukee, and this offseason a free agent signed by the Astros. He's got a good fastball and a big hammer curveball. Doesn't throw the changeup very often, usually just sticks with those 2 pitches. 2 2/3 innings for David Paulino, and he retired the last 7 batters he faced, including a couple of strikeouts. That's the 2nd longest outing of the year, of the spring, for any Astros pitcher. The longest was yesterday. Rogelio Armenteros looked pretty good again.
He did look really good. It was interesting, too, because he actually had a couple of opportunities to try and work out of some jams with base runners on, because the first time we saw him opening day here in spring training, he went out there and pitched extremely well, but he's racking up the strikeouts again. He's got good command. I really think he's made an impression on A.J. Hinch, and they needed him for those 3 innings, oddly enough, yesterday with that rain delay.
Ramsey with a 3-2 pitch, and he strikes out Travis Blankenhorn. Ramsey in his 3rd appearance with the Astros this spring.
Good pitch from Ramsey, straight over the top of the 4-seam fastball coming right at you, challenging Blankenhorn, and Blankenhorn fails. We also got to see Davinsky yesterday, Chris Davinsky, pitching in relief. That was good to see. It didn't go as smoothly as he'd like, but he worked out of some damage, and it's all about getting reps, because he's definitely going to be in that bullpen for the Houston Astros.
Tomorrow we'll see both Charlie Morton and Colin McHugh. McHugh will get multiple innings out of the bullpen. Colin was very impressive in his first start. 2 innings and 5 strikeout shutout baseball against the Braves. Started to have done well. McHugh 2 innings of shutout baseball. Garrett Cole 2 innings of perfect baseball. Justin Verlander 2 innings of perfect baseball. Today Lance McCullers Jr. A couple of innings, 2 hits. The second hit could have gone either way. No runs allowed by Lance today. We'll see Dallas Keuchel make his first start coming up next week on Monday. And tomorrow we'll see Charlie Morton make his spring training debut. Jordan Pacheco, the batter, with a 2-2 count.
You remember when we saw Charlie Morton step out there last year? I had faced Charlie previously in my career. Just a sinker, slider, occasional changeup, trying to get you to roll over on 91, 92 miles an hour. And I think the first pitch was 96. We both kind of perked up and went, huh? And he proceeded to throw that hard the rest of the year, and then even harder in the playoffs.
Well, there was more than one eyebrow raised when the Astros signed him coming off the injury in Philadelphia, where he only pitched a couple of games. But he had shown that velocity in the very beginning of the 2016 season. And the Astros took a chance, and it more than paid off already.
Yeah, that was nice work.
Charlie Morton, his debut tomorrow, and then We'll continue with 2 more telecasts, as this is the first of 4 in a row for us. Garrett Cole on Friday and Justin Verlander on Saturday. See the Mets on Friday, the Nationals on Saturday. Walk to Pacheco, and here's Gregorio Petit.
Good old Greg Pettit. He's an old Astro broadcasting favorite of ours.
He had a nice year for the Astros in one season.
He had a great year with the Astros. Got an opportunity to play, and he treated everybody else around him just wonderfully. He was a real pleasure to have on some of those ball clubs that were struggling a little bit.
Called him Greg Pettit.
Just for the fun of it.
Gregorio Petit getting his first at bat. Hit .278 for the Astros that year.
Another guy that can play multiple positions and put together good ABs.
2014 season.
Oof.
Pop up. Zagatti calls it. Alex makes the play for out number 2. Our upcoming schedule, Blummer, will be on tomorrow with the pregame show beginning at 11:30. Charlie Morton against Rick Porcello, pretty good matchup. Mets in town on Friday. That'll be the only night game we televise. Nationals on Saturday, and then the Marlins on Monday, and then a little break in the schedule in terms of TV games. We won't have a game again until the 18th after our telecast on March the 5th.
Yeah, you'll get a break from us too after that Marlins game. Last 2 broadcasts down here in spring training are going to have Kevin Eschenfelder and Mike Stanton on the call.
Those guys gearing up for the post-game show as we play in the 9th inning of this game. Not a lot of hits late in this one, as we've seen a couple of bases loaded walks, but the last hit for the Twins was leading off the 6th inning. The last hit for the Astros was Jose Altuve, the second batter of the 5th inning. Well, the bullpen has come in and done a much better job for Paul Molitor in this game than we saw most of last year. 0-2 the count to Bobby Wilson. Bobby's been around for a number of different teams, playing first base today, but has mostly caught in his career. Ramsey with a fastball and a swing and a miss for the final out of the inning. So a walk and 2 strikeouts in the inning for Matt Ramsey. Astros need 2 to tie, 3 to win.
Internet, but not just any.
Look from the beginning, Lance McCullers Jr. was really good. Had that fastball diving, fooling the Twins hitters, and it had some good run on it. Also threw some quality changeups as well. Not a very crisp game defensively. 3 errors by the Astros, leading to some unearned runs. But Carlos Correa put the Astros on the board first with this infield hit, and Alex Bregman would tie the game.
Yeah, big blast on a fastball down the middle. Stood up on it. Knew he drove it well. Got out of here up on that berm. But yeah, bulk of the offense done by the professional hitters up the Houston Astros early on in this game.
Astros with 8 hits, all of them in the first 5 innings. Jose Altuve and George Springer combining for 5 of them. Altuve went 3 for 3. Springer a double and a single and a run scored. And here's John Kemmer getting his first at bat. Kemmer in the DH spot that was occupied by Brian McCann. Zach Littell is the new pitcher for the Twins. Trying to put the finishing touches on a 4-2 lead.
Some long days put in spring training. These guys will show up early. We talked about Dallas Keuchel, Carlos Correa, George Springer. These guys get in the cage, get on the backfields, take some early work, and then they've got to go through their fundamental drills of the day, depending on how Joe Espada lines up these spring training games. And you go out there, get your drills done, then you head into a round of BP, come back into the clubhouse, change of clothes, grab some lunch, and then you got to come out for a ball game. And these minor league guys are doing the same thing. And eventually you get those ABs in the bottom of the 9th inning. It's tough to keep it together, but it's a little bit of a grind.
Littell just 22 years old, facing John Kemmer, the 27-year-old. Thought he had drawn a walk, but Lance Barksdale said that is close enough.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, close enough. You also got to deal with umpires that have been standing in the sun for a good 3 hours, and they may be having other ideas of where to get happy hour. But this is a tailing fastball, maybe below the nape of the knee, just a hair.
That wasn't bad. It was close enough on a 3-2 pitch.
I agree, yeah. Taking 3-2 fastballs in the vicinity where you could get a barrel on it, you want to swing.
Jamie Ritchie gets his second at bat and ends up hitting the ball to right field for out number 2. Lamont Wade making that play, and the Astros are down to their final out. A.J. Reed looking for his first knock. 0 for 2, a couple of strikeouts and a flyout.
You like that jam he comes up to the plate to, right?
I do. Biggie?
Yep. Like it when you call me Big Papa.
Yep. I still want to see that documentary. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Does it come out yet?
I think
that'd be a good one to watch.
Either yesterday or the day before, if I'm not mistaken. I think I missed it.
I
missed all my shows yesterday. I missed the documentary and I missed This Is Us.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Tough Tuesday. It wasn't a
Somehow I think you're going to find a way to get through it.
I will get through it. Looking forward to having our dinner tonight.
I am. Broadcaster
TV
meeting.
crew, yeah, TV crew dinner. Julia usually picks up the bill.
I know, yeah. We like to keep that within the TV ranks. We don't invite those radio guys. They talk too much.
1-2, 1 pitch, it's fouled away. It's 2-2. Julia's getting ready for a post-game interview.
Yeah.
Not a lot of choices because, as you said, no hits since the starters left.
My goodness, yeah.
Who does Julia go to today? Maybe. And that does it. The Twins bullpen comes in and locks it down. After Altuve's hit with nobody out in the 5th, nobody else reached base via hit. There was one walk by Drew Ferguson, but he was erased on a double play. And the Twins win the game 4-2. The first game all year managed by A.J. Hinch that the Astros have lost. They're now 5-2 on the spring. The other loss was a split squad game. We'll have more, including the post-game show, right around the corner.